You're looking down the inside of turn 10, going for the overtake.
Well, round the outside, Moritz trying to get the cut back.
Moritz Lohner, championship leader, looking to get more points. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the grand final of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship for 2021. We are very glad that you are able to join us for this one. My name is Connery Medic. I'm joined by the ever wonderful, ever amazing Mr. Paul Smith. And, well, it's been a very long road to this point, hasn't it, Paul? Trials and tribulations up and down the field, but finally we are here on the final day of competition. It doesn't get any better than that.
And what a better venue, should we say, than the Hockenheimring. Absolutely fantastic for racing. Plenty of overtaking opportunities out there. So if people think that this championship is sewn up, you will be greatly mistaken here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you know, heading to the Hockenheimring, one of the more famous racetracks in Germany. It's definitely going to be a very good host for us here today, Paul, for the finale. We have a little bit of a different format here today as well. We can take a little look at it. We've got ourselves the sprint race of the Gt3 Championship, the qualifying, the sprint race, and of course later on the endurance race, like we all know, with the Gt4 event in between as well. But this one is a little bit of a double header. We will have a second endurance race. The first one has a reverse grid based on results of race 1, but the grid for race 2, or endurance race 2, will be the results from race 1. It takes a while to wrap your head around it, but hopefully it shouldn't be too confusing once we've explained it a couple of times. But yeah, lots of racing today, this evening.
Absolutely. It does mean then that there's even more points available to the championship contenders out there. You know, it's 40 points for a race win. Times that by 3, you get 120 points. Of course, there's 5 points for getting pole position as well. So 125 points available potentially if somebody can do an incredible act of getting every single P1 in all of those different places. But as I say, if there's ever a place to try and do that, it's here at the Hockenheimring.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, we'll get more into that a little bit later on. Of course, we do have a track guide prepared to take you through the situation here at this racetrack, what the drivers will have to deal with in terms of the track conditions. But we do have a little bit of a highlight reel of that previous round, basically just setting up for the show that you see here today. Let's take a look.
Keep it all the way to the right-hand side of the track here, Nagy, because you don't want to open that inside line.
And he has opened the inside line, and Swertfeld can send it in. He sent it a bit too much, so Nagy can pop back underneath and retake the position. Chance to have this battle get solved further behind him, as Nagy leading that train. Nagy's been able to pull a gap, in fact, and now Price is looking around the outside. Lohner looking to go and get a couple of positions as well. Lohner might finish on the podium if this goes his way, which would be completely and utterly unexpected. There's the train for P2. You see the black Bentley of Price in the background. Here's the battle once again between Nagy and Brzezinski down in towards turn number 1. This time it's Nagy on the inside trying to defend. And this is going to bring Price into things because it's slowing everyone up behind them. Still wheel to wheel coming through the exit of the first sector through that long right-hander at the bottom of the gradient.
Was the victim there. Look at that, Brzezinski to the inside of 12 and Price to the outside.
Opportunistic move for Price, at least seeing the drivers ahead of him go wheel to wheel. Brzezinski still on that inside, trying to fight with Nagy through the final corner. This is all getting Brzezinski still wheel to wheel. Brzezinski still, he's banging his head against the brick wall. well, what would be the leading pack under normal circumstances. There's the absolute send from Brzezinski in towards turn number 1. That was from quite far back as well. Nagy looking to try and defend the position, as is his right, but he has been holding up a lot of people behind. Brzezinski knows how important it is to try and get through, to give chase to Rietveld, and to keep the gap behind him, looking for the up and under through the left, but not successful, and the M1RA car stays ahead. Well, everyone, welcome back. That's what happened last time out. And, well, of course, we're going to be heading quickly into the proceedings here at the Hockenheimring in just a couple of moments' time here, Paul. But that's what set us up for this round. And that's what, you know, the position that we're in right now is Moritz Lohner kind of far and away ahead of everyone else in the standings at the moment. It's not impossible that someone will be able to challenge him by the end of the day, but it's going to be very, very difficult and require a lucky set of circumstances as well.
Yeah, as I say, he's got a really good stranglehold on the championship right now, and you know, he just needs to get solid results here today. He needs to do what he did all of last year and just get those solid results, get some good points in the bank, and that will hold him out well for the rest of today. But it certainly is going to be intriguing to see how those others try and challenge him. And well, you know, Keithley and Brzezinski, you know, you never know. You never say never. If is the biggest word in motorsport, and it's the same in esports as well.
Absolutely, but without further ado, we'll head into our track guide presented to us by Patrick Simon, a wonderful colleague over on the German stream. He'll be taking you through what it's like to race around here at Hockenheim.
So let's have a look where we will see the big finale here in Hockenheimring, which is, from my point of view, one of the best racetracks to really see the doubleheader for the final round of ADAC Esports Championship. Turn 1, very fast right-hander, bit curb on the inside, attention on the track limits on the outside. But yeah, it's already the first opportunity to bring your car in position for this overtaking point, which is turn number 2. Very tight on the beginning, and then you have to flat out through this left-hand kink to carry all the speed down to Barapolica and to the hairpin, which is followed up. A bit down to gain as much speed as possible. 2-3 wide is normal, more or less, especially in the beginning. Hard braking for the hairpin, and first gear, it's also normal, but then you have a little knot in your hands. Okay, keep on going. Out of the hairpin through the right-hander, which is flat out easy. And another good spot for overtaking is in front of the Merc grandstands. Downshift to second gear, and then left-hander. Swap to the right with a little lift to bring the car down low in the front end to have a good steering, and then not so easy to turn into the Motordrome from Hockenheim. You see all the grandstands. It's a bit like in the soccer arena, but you need only to turn left for Sachskörner. The difference to the soccer arena is here you need only one ball to be good and to be fast. It's hard braking for the double right-hander, which is already the end of the lap, a little bit hard over the curb. And then we are back at start-finish. So this is Hockenheim, ready for the grand finale. Hope you are as well. Have fun.
Well, that was an example of how to get around a circuit such as this one, Paul. Very tricky circuit in some aspects. You know, it's basically a circuit that has everything. You know, high-speed sections, long straights, tight technical sectors. It's really a test of the driver's skill.
Certainly is, and you know, quite technical in places as well. You think the arena section, the stadium section at the end of the lap, quite narrow there because it is the old track, is that. So you know, you're going to be careful with that. You do get like Sachs curve, the camber works in your favour. the run down through 7 into 8 at Mercedes, that left-hander, that's quite a bit technical as well. So it depends. It's going to be such a tricky thing, but as you can see, qualifying now underway.
Yep, qualifying getting itself, well, started, as it is going to be your last qualifying session of the season. So let's see how this one turns out then. Of course, we do have the pole position award, the Pirelli pole position award to sort out here as well. Of course, Moritz Lohn is still very much the man in the driving seat when it comes to that particular little prize that the drivers can get themselves at the very end of the season here. We've had ourselves a good amount of different drivers on pole position so far this season, Paul. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see another different pole sitter here today. That would certainly continue on the theme that we've been seeing.
Yeah, you never say never, do you? In terms of the qualifying here, I mean, we'll look at this. There's only been one driver, really, Moritz Lohn, who has really stood out in qualifying and stood his head above the parapet to show that he's got that lead in the Pirelli pole position award. So if anybody else can maybe equal that, then who knows what will happen. But Moritz, he'll be looking to get a solid start to this one, get at least a front row spot if he can. I can tell you that the Porsche here today is one of the few cars who does not have any balance performance adjustment. Neither does the Bentley or the BMW. So the Porsche is free rein here. It's now going to be able to push on and give it all that it's got.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to here. And certainly Moritz Lohn will be happy about that situation, considering he is one of the drivers of the Porsches here in this series. You've got Ajic, who's also a Porsche in the Porsche as well. And there's a driver, Markovic, further down the order, that's also in that Porsche GT3 machine as well. So for those drivers, they're going to be pretty happy that they don't get themselves any balance performance adjustments here during this one. Everyone else will have to deal with varying levels of mop. That is that is just usually the state of things here in series like this, where you have to try and balance out all these cars. Sometimes you're going to get the good end, and sometimes you're going to get the bad end of a bop, and sometimes there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, it's such a tricky thing to get right, isn't it, for the balance performance, and to get that right. And the series organisers do try their best with that balance and performance, but they can only go by the data that they get given, and really they've got to work on previous what they've known from previously, but also with what they've got from any updates that are done to the simulator as well. So definitely it's tricky to get a balancing act with a balance performance adjustment, and as you say, sometimes you get it spot on, sometimes it doesn't all quite pan out.
Yeah, and well, sometimes there's a little bit of luck in that one as well. But we got the first couple of qualifying times head their way through here. We got Marco Ajic setting himself the fastest time in qualifying for the moment. Then you have your championship leader, Moritz Lohn, second in line. Brzezinski in third for the moment. Siggy has gone purple through that first sector though, so he's on for a relatively good lap here in that Audi for Team Redline, as just inside of the top 10 for now, but as long as he can hook up this lap together, it might promote him a little bit further up those standings.
Certainly could. And well, Siggy, we've seen how good he races, and we've seen how hard he races as well. Gone PB in sector 2, not purple though, which is not the absolute fastest through the second sector. Into Sachs curve now. Onto throttle once again through the left and the right. The brakes for the penultimate corner. Sudkov, final corner. Important to get the run out of this corner. Onto the start and finish straight. Siggy's got a good lap under his books here. 4th place on the grid.
Yep, great little lap there from Kevin Siggy. It's a short-lived 4th place, though, because he does get promoted further down the order by yet more fast times being set. But Pajic, fastest of everyone so far in this one. Hasse, 2nd place. There was time coming in from Gt3 and Price as well. The British duo in P3 and P4 at the moment. They're doing relatively well here as far as qualifying efforts go. Moritz Lohner down in 5th place now. If you do have a look at the points coming into this one, Moritz Lohner 354 points ahead of Jacob Brzezinski of 289, and then you have Jack Keithley on 265. So it is a very, very long way for drivers to catch up to Lohner at this point, but there might be an interesting battle though between not only Brzezinski and Keithley from P2, but also Hasse involved in that one, Bunky, Siggy, Price, you know, they're all kind of in the same piece of real estate as far as points are concerned. So it may not be a battle for the overall championship win at the end of the day, but it might be a battle for still some significant prize money.
Oh, certainly, without a doubt. You know, you're still fighting for that prize money, and it's, you know, it's still all there. It's that little carrot angling in front of these drivers just to try and, you know, even if you gain 1 position, it just gets you that little bit extra in terms of prizes. Of course, prizes do pay out down to 15th place in the championship, 10,000 euros for 1st place, 6 for 2nd, and then 3,500 euros for 3rd place. So yeah, there are prizes all the way down. It's, for these drivers, they'll want to get as much as possible out of this to really take away, if nothing else, for pride.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's sometimes the concept of having a little bit of fun for those drivers further down the order if coming into a final round, especially if they're outside of points being positions. But for those drivers that are, this is probably one of the more pressure-filled qualifying sessions that you'll get to see here in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. Marco Pajic still on that pole position, still doing very well. His last pole position was at the Red Bull Ring in round number 2 of the championship, so he's looking to try and get himself onto the same amount of pole positions as Moritz Lohner at the moment, which will make things interesting as far as the Pirelli pole position award is concerned. We'll have to look up who wins in the event of a tiebreaker there. But for now, here in qualifying for the final event of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship, lap times have kind of settled down a little bit here, you get the feeling. I have to wonder if we're going to see any surprises here towards the end of the session.
Well, I mean, these drivers, they will have pushed really hard, got a hot lap in, and tried their best to get that right, but Pajic, 1/10 of a second ahead of Hasse, so he's really on it. He's showing that a Porsche can be up there, along with Moritz Lohner as well. So drivers will be working with their teammates to try and get slipstream, try and work together. We've seen that with the Door Esports drivers all the way through the season. In fact, Moritz Lohner up to 2nd place now, just half a tenth behind Pajic.
Yeah, so not too far away at all for the German driver of Moritz Lohner. He's put himself a very good effort here into qualifying. This lap, though, not as ideal through Sector 1, so I doubt if he'll be able to improve even further on his time. Still within well, that is almost half a tenth of a second between himself and Marco Pajic here at this moment. So it's getting pretty close as far as pole position is concerned, Brad. But this is only pole position for the sprint race, because the other 2 races have certain conditions when it comes to their starting grid. So we've got endurance race 1, which will be the results of the sprint race, but inverted top 10, and then endurance race 2 will be the results from the sprint race. So that's the way we're going to do things here. But for the moment, 1 minute and 20 seconds left in this event, and Pajic still ahead by that half a tenth of a second. You're watching the Porsche of Moritz Lohner continue to cycle his way around for the moment in through the banked sort of arena section. He comes towards the end of another flying lap here. He did go purple by about half a tenth through that Sector 2, and as long as this Sector 3 is not too shabby, he might be on for a good time here, coming up across the line now. What's the time going to be for Moritz Lohner? It is another pill Sector 3 as well, but it's not quite enough, and even then, Vince Bunky leapfrogs him into second.
Oh, Bunky with a tremendous lap then in the Bentley. And Door Esports, he was getting a slipstream from his teammate. And look at how close that is. We've got 1 second covering the top 24 here today. So really, really close. And you'll see the results here. But my goodness, 3 Door Esports drivers in the top 4.
Yeah, that is an incredible performance from the Door Esports guys, giving Lohner all the help he requires, I suppose, here in this one. But it is Marko Pejic who's on pole position for the Mahler Racing team. Then you cycle back to Team Redline's Jeffrey Rietveld to find a non-Door Esports driver inside the top 5 there. Isaac Price in 6th place as the privateer, with Jack Heathley in 7th, Siggy in 8th, Jim Marshall starts in 9th, Ken Wisniewski will start in 10th for the sprint race today. Mark Garsner 11th with Dornaden in 12th place, and you can see the rest of the runners further down the order, including a couple of your invited drivers to this event, because we do have those permanent drivers and the additional invited drivers that got themselves in via a time attack qualifying procedure during the past week, so that they're able to race here today. Not for any prizes, mind you. That's still only limited to the permanent drivers, but it's good for them to get their experience.
Certainly is good to get that experience out there in the series, and to I've said this all the way through the season, to test yourself against these drivers here, because you're talking about some of the top pro drivers in sim racing here, certainly the best in RaceRoom, and really it's really good opportunity for you to see right in top sim racing team. Jack Keithley as well, he's another one that you could look at as well, and it gives you time to actually be in these sessions here, to be in these practice sessions and qualifying, see what lines these drivers are taking, what are they doing different to what you are doing in this car. May not be set up, it may be how the drivers drive the car in the simulator, how they approach corners, whether they're using the back end to steer the car around corners as well. So really, you've got to look at those things if you're one of these new drivers that are qualifying into a series like this. And even if you are one of the full-timers, you can still always learn from the others in a championship like this. You can still look at your compatriots, your rivals out there and see, right, where am I not just quite getting that time from? It may not be best to compare yourself if it's a different car. Compare yourself to somebody who's in the same car as you and see, right, what are they doing differently? What can I do to improve? So that's what a lot of these drivers will do here. Right now, though, those drivers who are at the front of the championship, they are really going to be just focused solely on the start of this race. It is, of course, a rolling start, which means that we'll do an entire lap just to get them all set up. They have to go into double file after turn 11, which is Mobile 1 corner, where you go back into that stadium section. And then the double file all the way through Sachs Curve, through the little left-right chicane, the penultimate corner, and then Sud Curve. And it's on the administrator's call as to when they go green there. So that's what these drivers will be doing. And the top drivers here, they will be just focused purely on that start, getting through lap 1 clean, so that they can then look at a solid race.
Yeah, so we'll get to see. Thank you for that long monologue there, Paul. That was absolutely fantastic stuff. But we were just watching the warm-up session here before the sprint race, our first race of today. We've got lots of racing here today for everyone. We've got ourselves the Gt3 Sprint Race, then we'll head to the finale of the Gt4 event, and then we'll have 2 40-minute quote-unquote endurance races here in the Gt3 Championship. So that's going to take us quite deep into the evening here, so we are very thankful that you guys are sticking with us, so to speak, here in this one, and hopefully we'll be able to see you by the end when we crown a champion here in this series. So certainly lots to look forward to in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. We are, of course, powered by NBW Mobility Plus. Thank you very much to all of our other sponsors for the series, including but not limited to Faber, Exposize, and of course Pirelli as well. Give us a whole bunch of support as well. So thank you very much to those guys for continuing to support RaceRoom Esports. It is very much appreciated here in this one. It seems to be going from strength to strength. But we've got about 2.5 minutes left to go here in the warm-up session. You know, what are your overall expectations for this one, Paul? Because it's the I guess a lot of drivers will be getting sort of final event jitters before the actual racing starts here today.
Yeah, we've called many a championship finale, both of us, and we've seen how some drivers seem to cope with the pressure a lot better than others. And it's how you deal with that. If you've never been involved in a major championship battle like you've got in this one, it can be a little bit nervous. You can get a bit of anxiety there. You can't change any of your preparation. You can't change how you've been approaching, because if you suddenly change things for the final race, you're just asking for things to go wrong. And so these drivers, they'll be just doing exactly what they've been doing all throughout the season. Now, I would say the pressure's more on Moritz Lerner to keep out of trouble, and he'll be more concerned about if anybody makes a lunge on him or if they make any sort of moves on him. Whereas the others that are trying to catch up in the championship, Jack Keithley, and also the other competitor, Jacob Brzezinski, pressure's more off of them. They can really attack here. They can really push and try and get a championship win here out of this. So I think that really the pressure is more on Moritz than it is the others. Having said that, Moritz is a multiple-time champion here in the series, so he knows how to deal with that.
He is, and well, the defending yet another championship here into the final round of the 2021 season is Moritz Lerner. So we're certainly looking forward to seeing what he can do in this event. Of course, the odds are stacked in his favor at the moment. Things are going to go pretty horribly wrong for him to be even slightly challenged in the latter part of the season here. But we are heading in towards the gridding procedure here for the sprint race of the Gt3 Championship. You can see Kevin Siggy just having a bit of a spin, shall we say, through the first turn there, just to cap off the warm-up session here, and well, we'll get the gridding underway in just a couple of moments' time. So, I'm certainly very excited for what's to come. It's going into a little bit of the unknown here at the Hockenheimring. We'll get to see how much action that we'll see, but we do have to recap, of course. These guys will be doing their own manual rolling start here. So when you see that go signal on the starting gantry, that is not the signal to start racing. It's the signal to start rolling off on their formation lap or single file into the later portion of the lap, where they will start to get themselves 2 by 2. The starts have been pretty crazy previously, Paul, in this series. Lots of drivers getting themselves good launch from a couple of rows back and challenging the leaders down in towards turn number 1. But it's not turn number 1 that's the issue here at this track. It's more turn 2, which is the heavy braking zone.
Yeah, it is. I mean, turn 1, you can have incidents into there. I just think back to when Michael Schumacher and Giancarlo Fisichella, of course, had their famous crash at this first corner, the Nord curve. It's so easily done here. As in fact, we've got a little bit of contact further back from one of the Porsches further towards the rear of the field. And yes, you can still have issues through here because it is quite a tight corner, is that one. More of a one-line corner through turn 1. But it's this one, they're coming up to turn 2 and then turn 3, the exit here. You've got the heavy braking zone into 2, the tight right hairpin. It opens up through 3, but then 4, the left-hander here. Again, this is where lines can come together, and that's where more issues can happen. And then you're not out of the woods yet when it comes to potential incidents, because you then come through the sweeping left-hander at Parabolica, and then heading down to the hairpin at turn number 6. This is the slowest point on the track here. It is so tight, and you'll see many a driver throw a move down the inside into there, and it's so easy to just get tangled up with each other and to get knocked up. So yeah, it can be interesting to see how they go, but on lap 1, it's real danger areas is that first half of the lap.
It really is. So as drivers continue to get themselves all formed up and ready, making sure those tires are in the correct condition, excuse me, for racing action here at the Hockenheimring. A fantastic circuit this is. Of course, has played host to many a German Grand Prix over the years, and of course, many of the premier German motorsport series heading their way here at some point on their calendars as well. So certainly a track that has a lot of history. Of course, it's changed quite a bit since when it was first built into its now new modern configuration. Although I kind of struggle calling it modern these days, because it's getting on a bit now. But here we go. And through the final corner, drivers all stacked up 2 by 2 by 2. The final sprint race of the season is about to get itself underway here at Hockenheim in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. We're off and away here at Hockenheim. PH and Bonky absolutely level as they head their way in towards turn number 1 for the first time. Moritz Lohner just waiting in the wings for the moment as the 2 cars battle ahead of him, but it's the Bentley of Benz Bonky leading at the moment on the way down in towards turn number 2. PH looking around the outside in the Porsche as Lohner looking to try and move off of it on him as well. He currently resides in P3, but everyone through the first couple of corners relatively okay, and now here comes the big slipstream situation on the way down in towards the hairpin. This is where you'll see most of the overtaking done here today, and we'll get to see the moves being made. Then PH down the inside, sending a big one down the inside of Benz Bonky, but you can't overcook it like he's just done there, and Bonky's able to slip back ahead.
There was one of the red line cars as well that got involved in a little bit of a contact. I think that was Jeffrey Riekveld who got half turned. He's dropped down to 6th place. Here comes Moritz then, Lerner down the inside of turn number 8. He's trying to follow on the coattails of his teammate here of Benz Bonky. They're trying to get themselves past the Mahal car, and around the outside through 11. It's a brave move, one that Moritz should have done into Sats curve. Nicely done. And here comes Hasse. He's wanted to bully his way through as well.
Sven Hasse just sticking it down the inside there at the banked turn. That was a very authoritative move from Hasse there to try and squeeze by on PH there. So PH not having the greatest of times here in the opening portions of this race. We've come across the line to complete lap number 1, and look at the gap that Benz Bonky has already for the race lead. It's up over a second with just 1 lap gone. So he's trying to stretch his legs now and trying to secure this sprint race win.
Yeah, and don't forget as well that when you've got Benz Bonky leading this race, he's not one of the ones in the championship fight. So Moritz is ahead of all of his championship rivals right now, and he's had the best possible time, the best possible start for him in all of this. So he's in that solid position where he's got Florian Hasse behind him, who we know he does fight with Moritz quite often in this championship, but I think today Hasse will have some instructions from above saying, okay, let's not take out your teammate in this one.
Yeah, and well, hopefully those 2 door esports cars don't come together. I mean, we have seen teammate contact, shall we say, in races and seasons previous. So there's no need for that today here in the final, especially when Moritz Lohner is needing a kind of a faultless race so far in this one. He can't afford to get spun out or have an incident and then end up at the back of the field here, because then that would open the door somewhat to challengers in terms of his championship position, namely Brzezinski, Keithley, also involved in that one as well. So as long as Lohner just, even consistently finishes mid-pack here today, he's probably clear as far as the championship is concerned.
Yeah, and that's where he wants to be right now. As I say, he's in a pretty much ideal position right now. He's got his teammate in front who's leading the train, and he's got a teammate behind acting as a little bit of a rear gunner in all of this. And if Hasse needs to, if Page starts getting a bit sort of spicy with him, Hasse can always just act as that rear gunner, block him, slow him down to allow Moritz to pull away. Here's the big slipstream then, down towards the hairpin. Hasse crucially has the inside line. If he can get that Audi parked on the apex, which he does, it gives Page nowhere to go.
Absolutely nowhere to go in that situation. And, well, here's Page just locked onto the back of Moritz Lohner on the way down in towards the left-hander, as Lohner is, as it's Hasse and Page, excuse me, fighting here today. Is Hasse, he went very defensive there into the left and just tried to cover off the line from Marco Page here. But he's able to keep himself ahead for now in that third place final step of the podium. Not too shabby as far as a sprint race performance is concerned, but it is causing a bit of a rift to appear between all the top three cars though.
It certainly is, and yeah, it's working out nicely for Dora Esports right now. They will be delighted with this. But look at that queue of traffic though. Behind Hasse then, Page, Rietveld, Yarshal, and Jacob Brzezinski all the way down in 7th place. I mean, he's in a good spot for the reverse grid for the first of the 2 endurance races, which could then prove crucial here today. But remember, of course, the second of those endurance races takes the result from this race as its starting grid. So really, if you're Brzezinski, you want to move forward and you want to try and get as many positions as possible.
Yep, you really do, because you never know what might happen, right? As here comes Marco Page, then down the inside of Florian Hasse in towards the hairpin. He's got the position done there, but he's at risk coming off the corner. Hasse is able to come back at him through the exit, but not got enough momentum to maintain the side-by-side on the way through the next couple of corners. But, it's so easy to do into that hairpin. Yes, you can go and send one down the inside and hope you can get by, but that will compromise your line off the corner, and there's ample opportunity for the driver that you overtaken to try and get past again.
Absolutely they can, and that's what can happen out there. But as they come back into the old stadium section, you can see just how much narrower the track is here through the old section. Of course, this circuit was redesigned in 2002, Hermann Tilke and his company went and basically cut the old Hockenheimring in half and created that section from turn 2 all the way through to turn 10 before you then get back onto the old circuit. But, some people, they do miss the old circuit. Some people actually prefer this version, and you do get quite a lot of overtaking opportunities on this version, it must be said.
Yeah, it really does. It really opens up the racing. That's what we've tended to see at races here, especially compared to some of the other tracks on the calendar, as I'm not sure how we got through some of the races previous to this one, due to the track just being not the best suited to overtaken, but absolutely no problems though here at the Hockenheimring, as we see this big long train here, everyone from basically P3, 4 and back, everyone all in the same train, absolutely nose to tail on the way through the hairpin, and well, it's we can get a little bit of love taps to the bumpers sometimes, that's all I'm saying.
A little bit of Morse code, let your rivals know that you're there. Use of the what they call the old chrome horn as well. So, you can make that count and just maneuver people out the way It is the dark arts of racing, not just in sim racing, but in the real world as well, is the old little bump and run. And it is discouraged, by the way. The stewards, there are live race stewards, by the way, for people who are wondering if drivers get away with anything. Well, no, they don't. There is live race stewards here, so drivers have to be on their best behaviour, or else they will feel the wrath of those race stewards. But look at Brzezinski, he's just rocketing away at the front here.
Yeah, let's get a look at him. There he is, just basically all on his lonesome. You can see the big train of cars behind him, but it doesn't seem like Luna's gaining any at this point. You know, Scap stands at about 2 seconds between P1 and P2 at the moment, so Bunky's just running for the hills. He wants to get a race win to his name. Moritz Luna's going to be very comfortable there in the second place. Even if he falls back through this train, he's not going to worry too much as far as championship is concerned. I think, in a way, here, if you're Moritz Luna, you're of course you're going to be driving a little bit more conservatively, because things like that could potentially happen. Page almost ran into the back of him in the braking zone.
But fortunately for Moritz, he didn't. And well, Page, he did end up having to take avoiding action and losing out a little bit of time, but Page looks to be absolutely on it here. He wants to get back up to the front. He wants to get a race win under his belt towards the end of this season. So yeah, he's really pushing hard now and trying to get one in the bank here for the end, but he's going to have a tough task. If you're Moritz Lerner right now, you'll have your team working with you. You'll have some, you know, either a race engineer or a spotter, depending on what style you go for. They'll be in his ear saying, okay, right now, you know, you're in a good position. If Page does show a nose, if does make a lunge, don't feel that you have to defend it. You can really sort of just work with them and not lose out too many positions.
Yeah, that's well, there's a lot of thought that goes into the plan of action coming into these races for some of these drivers. As it's you know, some of them, you know, in a way it's an element of personal preference as well. Some drivers just like to, you know, do the practice in their own time and then just turn up to the race, and then whatever happens happens. They're sort of thinking on their feet, thinking on the fly. But other drivers, they, you know, they have a set game plan coming into these ones. Of course, you know, when we get into the endurance races, where the strategy becomes more of a factor with that one scheduled pit stop, then of course that's the thing that the drivers will have to hopefully pre-plan, as we see Jack Keithley and Alexander Torneden having a little bit of a scrap on the way in through the hairpin there, and Keithley ahead for now, but the M1RA Esports machine of Martin Barner still maintaining his maintaining the gap, shall we say, getting right up to the back bumper of that Williams Esports car.
Yeah, but if you're Jack Keithley right now, this is not where you want to be. You don't want to be in the mid-pack here, down in 15th. This isn't what he wants from this event. He wants to be up there in the top. Oh, Tim Yarshell had an issue out there. He was initially shown as losing a position. I think he's having a few connection problems, possibly, out there.
I can empathise, don't worry.
Yes. But just to finish the point that I was making, though, Jack Keithley is coming to this championship finale with an outside shot, and he'll be honest with that. He'll be more concerned about trying to hold on to third place in the championship, and when he's got Florian Hasse and Brzezinski not that far behind him, he's really on the back foot right now.
Yeah, it really is, and well, we'll see how this situation materializes a little bit later on. Of course, we're still in the early stages of the finale here of the ADAC GTMS Esports Championship 2021. Lots of, well, late braking down into the hairpin, but not all that much fighting for the moment here in this one as we get our way towards 8 minutes to go. Here at the Hockenheimring for the sprint race of the GT3 Championship. Seems like action happening a little bit further behind here. Here's Christopher Högfeldt and Peter Pilsker. Pilsker gets, has to take the runoff area through that sequence of corners. Rejoins the track behind Max Pfeiffer there as just gets, well, uses a little bit too much road.
Yeah, went sliding off, understeer, and he was trying to not make contact with anybody, and unfortunately ran wide, and that's just allowed 5 foot ahead as well. Got Vanna behind him right now, so down in 12th, 13th, 14th this battle. Jack Heathler catching up behind. So yeah, it wasn't the ideal line, shall we say, through that corner. We'll say, is it just me? Just look at the timing screen on the left-hand side of your screen there. Moritz Lerner actually gaining on Brzezinski here.
Well, you'll be absolutely right. Let's compare it to the next car as, well, we saw that gap previously at about 2 seconds, and Lerner has now been able to catch that gap back up. It's 1.1, 1.2 seconds, sort of hovering around that area now, and well, this is pretty positive here for Lerner. If he's able to just gain a couple more tenths of a second, he'll be more solidly inside the slipstream of Bunky ahead of him, and that time gained will become a lot more significant as the laps go by. So yeah, it's certainly one to keep an eye on here as we look back to the battle for P number 7 here between Price, Siggy, Gassner. That's the order of the trio that you see on your screen right there, and well, there's going to be no horse blood between all of these, let me tell you that. Some particularly potent and drivers that won't take no for an answer here in this one, as we'll see, hopefully, them battle in the final 6 minutes.
Yeah, if you ever want a gloves off, knock down, drag them out sort of battle, then you know you're looking at right here, Isaac Price and Kevin Siggy. These are two that do not leave any prisoners at all. They just absolutely go at it. They're aggressive, but they're also fun to watch as well. And we've seen how Price had really sort of progressed towards the front of the field from where he started at the start of the season. Of course, running as a privateer as Isaac. The last couple of rounds, he's been at the sort of tail end of the top 10, which for the first of the endurance races here tonight will actually pan out well. We all know, we've seen it time and again in this series, Isaac loves to go for that long first stint on the tyre strategy and then a short final stint to try and make some places.
Yeah, that does seem to be the game plan here, as we will continue to watch these guys deal with the final 5 minutes of this race. Of course, not that much changing inside the front couple of cars at the moment. Battle behind Lomax Pfeiffer and Jonas Vanna, looking to get very close through the exit of the hairpin, but Vanna might have to wait and bide his time and then make a lunge for it into this corner. But no, he's just going to stay in line and make sure that he can maybe get to the end here, P13, but for sure he won't be trying to gain a couple of more points than what P13 offers here in this one. And, well, it might be his only challenger coming towards the end of this one, considering they are at the front of a little bit of a battle pack at the moment. There's a bit of separation between them and Christopher Högfeldt, just that little bit further down the road. But it's certainly one that we will keep an eye on for the final 4 minutes now. 4 minutes of this sprint race. Time does fly when you're having fun, and well, Moritz Lerner is having a lot of fun catching Bunky. Let me tell you that. Gap down to 6/10.
Yeah, that Porsche seems to have come alive in the second half of the race here, which doesn't bode well for people in like the Bentleys and the. I mean, look at how much Florian Hasser has dropped back as well. I mean, Payich is going with Lerner. I mean, remember the battle that they had down at the Red Bull Ring? Oh, it seems so long ago, doesn't it now, from the start of the season? But, you know, Lerner and Payich had a tremendous battle at the Red Bull Ring, and, well, Lerner now caught up to the back of his teammate. Question is Brzezinski going to fight with him, or is he going to just allow him past?
I don't know if there's going to be a lot of allowing here in this situation. Of course, you know, they're racing drivers in the end, and it's not required for Lerner to win this race as far as championship is concerned.
Well, don't forget, it was at this very venue in 2010 we had the immortal words of "Fernando is faster than you," and you know, the team game could well be at play, but Brzezinski is fighting for third place in the championship as well, so he needs as many points as possible.
Yeah, he does, and well, he's gained quite a bit over his other contenders in that championship. Of course, he is involved with Florian Hasse, Jack Keithley, maybe even at a stretch, Dekra Brzezinski as well, finishing ahead of all of those. Would really put a more positive spin on his championship into the final couple of the rounds here. Of course, not as many points awarded for the sprint race here compared to the endurance races a little bit later on, but it will certainly still be very, very beneficial for the driver of that Bentley. And look at how Lona catching up now has kind of dragged Pajic into the fray as well. So we might be seeing a three-way fight for the race lead here at the very end of this event. So here comes Moritz Lona then. Does he go for the lunge into the hairpin here? This is not the final lap, I wouldn't have thought. No, we still got at least another one to go here in this one. So that wasn't the last opportunity that Lona will be able to do anything into the hairpin. But this kind of has to be judged well. Or he might even just decide to sit behind in P2. That's also a valid option.
It certainly is, and I mean, he'll be feeling under pressure for Pajic behind, though, will Moritz. So, he certainly, in fact, I feel that he's going to be going defensive here shortly, the way that Pajic has got right onto that rear diffuser of Lerner, and is Moritz going to, little show of the nose there from Pajic, not trying to make the move into Sachs curve. It is a bit of you can make a move into Sachs curve, but you've got to have a very compliant competitor who will give you that space if you do make the lunge.
Yeah, you really do. And now as they head their way across the line, it's the start of the final lap now, and still things, well, all to play for the top three, the podium here at the end of this event. Lona has dropped back a little bit from Brzezinski, gap up to now 0.5 of a second. Pajic is in P3 at the moment, and he has no such team allegiances with the two guys ahead, so he'll definitely try to get himself a little bit further up that podium here today. On that back straight now, where the slipstream is such an effect into the braking zone for the hairpin, I do not know if Lona's going to be close enough to make a lunge here. Looking not likely, yet he's just going to stay in line. Pajic not close enough behind either in that situation. He'll just follow those guys all the way through that hairpin, and now in towards the middle sector of things here at Hockenheim. We're on board with Marco Pajic, seeing what happens with those race leaders and seeing if Pajic can get himself another step higher on the podium. Late on the brakes there, certainly not working. Maybe he even took himself by surprise in that situation, and getting all sorts of loose up over the curb as well. So Pajic maybe overdriving the car at this point, but maybe still an opportunity. Nope, not as a result of going that far wide through the right. So at this situation is still very... Oh, what's happened to Lona?
Has he had a penalty of some sort, or a corner cut?
Interesting. Interesting, very interesting. But we look towards the very front of the field because it's Brzezinski that comes across the line to win, and Lona's still trying to serve some form of drive, some form of slowdown penalty as well. In the background, he gets cycled back down to P4. Brzezinski wins the sprint race here in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship finale.
Has he decided that, right, I know that I've got an advantage over my championship rivals. Hasse wants to gain points for the third place in the championship, potentially. I'll let him drop in front of me and give him those extra points. Very, very dramatic. That's a risky move to make for your championship leader.
It is. There's the race results. Brzezinski P1, P2, Hasse P3, Lona P4. Yeah, you're right. It gives him a better spot for race number 2. We'll have to see how that one works out. Of course, reverse grid pole position sitter in the situation, Timmy Arshell down in P10. So that's the driver that's going to go to the pole for the first endurance race. The rest of the runners cycling their way through on your screens right now. Of course, seeing those drivers further down at the back of the order. We didn't have too much of an issue with attrition so far in this one. We only had 2 DNFs there at the very back. Alexander Donaden and Erhan Yayovsky having problems over the course of this event. But that is the GT3 Sprint Race completely and over and done with. And now we'll have to get ourselves set for what is going to be the Gt4 Finale. And, well, when it comes to GT4s here, Paul, there's only really been one person that we've been talking about as far as championship win is concerned.
Yeah, it's been a bit one-sided, really, hasn't it, the GT4 championship? But it's been a dominant display, hasn't it? It's been absolutely wonderful to see. And each round we keep on saying, oh, I wonder if we're going to be getting another person with another opportunity, perhaps. Or maybe somebody could challenge him. But no,
Yeah.
Chian has just been absolutely just in another world in this GT4 championship, and looking very good to get that automatic qualification for next year's ADAC GT Masters GT3 Championship. There you go, as Emre Can, and 240 points over 193. Well, I mean, it's a 57-point lead that he's got right there. So, I'm just trying to find my points sheet in the rule book here, because really a bit of mental arithmetic there. And I think he should really be the champion, because it is 40 points in the race win. No qualifying points bonus. So yes, Chiam, he's got this sewn up. He can just have a bit of a slow celebratory race here.
Yep, so that one's completely sealed. Of course, still question marks regarding Adam Pincez with Ottaviani, with Julian Kunze, for those other 3 positions there further behind your leader, and we'll see what happens with them. Maybe Jonas Vanna won't be able to improve in this one. He's a little bit too far adrift of the top 4 to be able to get himself up into a little bit of a better position in terms of the championship picture here in this one. But, yeah, like I said, Emre Can basically has this one on lockdown. It's just everyone's scrapping for the pieces that he's left over.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pincez, with that 20-point lead right now, he'll be feeling very secure in that second place. If he's battling with Ottaviani, well, he can let Ottaviani past and just sit behind him. It's, the points difference isn't that great in the points standings when you go through the results there. So really, I would say that top 3 is pretty much sewn up. In fact, the top 4 are pretty much sewn up, because Kunze, of course, has a bigger gap than there are points available for Vanna. So the top 4 pretty much solid and sorted out.
Yep, I think so too. We'll get ourselves into the practice session for the GT4 Championship here in this one, and as they're getting themselves set for their particular event, shall we say. But there is Emre Can, the Turkish driver that has set this series alight in terms of his pace. Still going to be competing here today, despite winning the championship. He can just take the day off and still win the championship. But for Emre Can, it's just about having fun now from this point forwards. Let's see if he can get himself another race win under his belt here in the GT4 Championship. It would really sum up what has been a very a dominant season.
Well, he wants to get a clean sweep, doesn't he? He wants to get everything, so that he can just prove the utter dominance that he's had in this GT4 series. And who could blame him if he wants to win this championship in such a way and to finish off in such a way? So yeah, it's certainly been just an unbelievable performance, and Team Fordzilla have got a very, very capable driver in their midst.
Yeah, and I'll be very interested to see how Emre actually does when it comes to the main championship for next season. Because as a result of winning here, the championship of the GT4s, he'll get himself an entry into the GT3 championship. So Of course, GT3 cars are a bit of a different beast compared to GT4, so we'll have to see if his pace does carry over into that one.
Yeah, it's it's how do you see it? How do you go and race in this one? This is what you've got to see. So yeah, it's definitely it's how do you adjust from GT3 GT4? How do you get used to that lack of aero downforce that you have with the GT3 over the GT4? The GT4s are much more of a what we would call a gentleman driver car. It's not certainly not something that you need to have a complex degree in or doctorate in thermodynamics or something like that to be able to understand. GT4 car, it's more of a pure driving experience, and the driver can make more of a difference in this car compared to the GT3.
Yeah, it does. Well, it does feel like that on a lot of occasions. Even with lower formulas, sometimes as far as real life racing is concerned, with the slower speeds kind of give a lot more time for those moves that you attempt to try and work themselves out. Especially when the slipstream is relatively powerful in some slower machines. It does promote a lot more side-by-side action, and sometimes the higher catch speeds maybe just that little bit too fast compared to something like this.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all pans out here, but yeah, Chiam done a sensational job, and do you know what? To be fair, we started off in this series. I know I'm taking it away from the subject, but we started off this series with it basically being an Audi TT Cup, and over the course of the season, we've seen more and more Lotuses taking part. We've also had a couple of KTMs taking part in this series as well, so it's good to see that more and more are feeling that the Lotus is the way to go, and really mixing up the grid. But it's all the top guys have stayed with the Audi.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case, and I think this is the race though that we've probably seen the least amount of Audis, right? Because we have basically a half and half split between Audis and Lotuses here for the Hockenheimring. So that's an interesting situation that it seems to have happened here in this one. Maybe the balance performance finally not favouring the Audi as much here at Hockenheim compared to basically every other circuit that we've seen.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, as we're seeing right here, in qualifying, don't forget, overtakes can happen around here, so it's somewhere where you can really push and fight for position. So it's not the be-all end-all for the Audi to be dominating and having that. You need a car that's got a good top speed, but can also deal with some more technical, complex corners. And yeah, some drivers more favouring the Lotus more than the Audi, which is great for us. There's a bit of a difference out there on track. But the first few lap times should be coming in very shortly here, Connery. And I'm going to make a safe bet and say Emre Can fastest after the first attempt.
Oh, that's a daring bet. Absolutely daring. I don't know why you could have possibly chosen that Emre Can would be fastest in this qualifying session. Yeah, well, stranger things have happened though in terms of him not getting the pole position. There's certainly a chance that someone's going to be able to string a lap together. Maybe if they get super lucky with the slipstream, and also hook up a perfect lap in terms of entries, apexes, and exits. But there we go.
I'm wrong.
Fabiani, provisional pole.
Yeah, that's good to see. I want to see somebody challenging Emre here in this finale and to really give him a good go, because at the end of the day, it's all well and good driving away at the front and pulling out such a gap for you to end up winning by such a margin in this championship. But I mean, really, you want to be challenged to a degree. You want to have a bit of a challenge as a driver, because it gets a bit boring if you're up at the front all the time. I know that's exactly what people want to do if they're actually the one competing, but after a while you just sort of like, well, it's rather lonely up here at the front, and if you've got somebody who can actually challenge, then all for them. That's what I would love to see here today.
You and me both. You and me both. But
it makes our job a lot more interesting, that's for sure.
It really does. It really helps when the drivers are giving us a little bit of a show here in this one, so we don't have to feel as much. But for qualifying here, Ottaviani not on a lap, I don't think. Here he's just got himself prepared for his next flying lap. So we'll see what he's able to do. Emre Can is there he is, as he's not on a lap either. You can tell that by the fact that he set no sector times so far in this one. So we just have to wait a couple more moments to see if there's going to be any shuffling going on at the very front of the field. Certainly shuffling going on in the mid-pack, though. We got Lotus is certainly in the mix. Lotus is P3 and 4 at the moment, with Ville Klevi and Alexander Grundvold. So, again, the Lotus is very, very competitive here today, hence the popularity, I suppose, Paul. But yeah, this is looking pretty, pretty even between the two manufacturers.
Certainly is. We have got a lone Mercedes out there as well. It's not just the two marques that are out there on track of Audi and Lotus, but we've also got that sole Mercedes as well, so good to see that here today. And these times now, this is their second hot lap. They will have all pulled into the pits, got themselves some fresh tyres, and then come out, and this will be their hot lap right now. They won't have time to do that again, so really if you see them do a hot lap now, then we've got a spin around there. But you'll see them do the hot lap here, and if they feel that they've got any life left in the tyres, they'll just keep on pushing on after that lap.
So let's have a look then as the top two contenders in the session so far. There's Ottaviani, went purple sector 1, abandoned sector 2 though, as he takes the toe back to pit lane. It does count as a purple sector 3 because it takes the toe, but not counting in terms of lap time. And look at this, Emre Can caught up in a little bit of traffic here, which is not ideal either. Purple sector 1, green sector 2 as his personal best, but with sector 3, with the bunch of traffic that he's had, it's going to be a struggle to improve. But let's see, he only needs to improve by 17 thousandths.
Yeah, it's microseconds. It's so little. Here he comes across the line now. And I don't think this will be quicker. No, it won't. Look at that, a second lost just with that traffic into the stadium section. So he'll keep on pushing now and try and get a final lap out of it. I think Ottaviani will be able to start one final flying lap and get that completed, because of course, remember here, folks, once that clock strikes 0, there is no opportunity to finish your lap. It's the end right there. As soon as it strikes 0, there is no more opportunity to set a lap time.
Yeah, so again, you always have to be conscious of this fact. You have to head out at about the right time, but another bit of traffic there for Emre Can. He's not had the best of luck in terms of people getting in his way here in this qualifying session. So again, we'll see how it affects his lap time. I don't think that's going to be a second's worth of lost time there through the hairpin, but it's going to be a decent chunk, and he's also having to deal with the car further ahead at the moment as well. Should remain clear. In fact, Emre Can will be happy about getting the slipstream at this point, but sometimes you want cars in front of you to get the slipstream. Sometimes they're your worst enemy by being in front of you because they're slow through the corners.
Yeah, that's what you can sort of take away from you here. But look at this now, through Zach's curve, through 13, through 14, he is up only by about 6/100ths of a second for the lap in total. crucially, purple sectors, sector 1 and 2, a little bit sliding through Sud Curve across the line, and that is a purple lap onto pole position provisionally.
Yeah, fantastic stuff by the Turkish driver. It took a while. It took almost an entire qualifying session for it to happen, but Chian onto pole position. He's Nikita Shapojenk here, who is, not a name we've seen so often here in this series, but they've got themselves up in towards P3, so the Ukrainian doing very well as your highest placed Lotus here in the dying moments of qualifying. You're seeing a lot of drivers taking their toe back to the pit lane now, and that's because the race for all intents and the qualifying session for them, for all intents and purposes, is pretty over. So that's the reason why you're seeing them come through. But go on.
Where's Ottaviani? Because he was on he was starting a flying lap. He's in the pits, right? So he abandoned his last opportunity. So there we go. As we'll get the results up on screen very shortly. Emre Chian, tip of the hat to you, Team Fordzilla. Yet another pole position here.
Yeah, it's incredible. Pole position after pole position after pole position for Team Fordzilla in the GT4 Championship. So Chian doing an absolutely fantastic job as ever. It seems like he's been basically completely unmatched here in the GT4 Championship. Ottaviani's second place, that'll do good for his points hunt in terms of finishing in those top couple of positions in the standings. He's gotten himself quite firmly ahead of Pincez at the moment, who's currently in P2 in the championship, and of course you've got Julian Kunze, who's also a little bit further down the order. So it looks like Ottaviani giving him his best chance at getting P2 in the championship right now.
And that's it, Ottaviani, we saw. Well, I mean, it was a 20-point gap, wasn't it, between himself and Pincez. And looking at the points for the positions, basically Ottaviani, if he does finish in first place, then Pincez would have to finish 6th place to retain his position. So, it's not out of the realms of possibility, that's for sure. And then obviously as we go down the points, then if he finishes second, Pincez would have to finish 10th or higher, and so on and so forth. So it's doing that maths in your head just to try and see how things work out for you. But so far, so good. Pincez just has to finish in that top 6 to be sure that he keeps in second place.
Yeah, he does, but sometimes the execution is the issue when it comes to the racing time here. So, again, one of the stories that we're keeping track of over the course of this one. Of course, these guys will get themselves a standing start. That's been standard for the GT4s over the course of this season, which is different from the GT3s. But we had a relatively clean start in the Gt3 Sprint Race. I see no reason why that can't happen here in the GT4s as well. That turn number 1, it's under normal racing conditions. Turn number 1 is every day of the week one line. It's not often you're going to get too wide through there. But on a start, everyone's still stacked up 2x2 from their grid positions, or mostly stacked up 2x2. So it can be a big contentious issue on the first lap there, with drivers just getting into each other, drivers pushing really wide out onto the runoff. So I'm surprised we didn't see an incident through there on the first lap of the GT3s.
I think with the GT3s, I think they realised that because they've got 3 races today, they don't need to worry quite as much about. They don't need to push quite as hard in that first sprint race. Points are the same for sprint and endurance races in that GT3 championship. Here in the GT4s, you've got less downforce on the cars, generally less grip overall as well. And
I have some news about the GT3 championship, by the way. Moritz Lohner, he got a penalty for that deliberate slowing down. He said a decision from the stewards come through last lap, last corner alone, deliberately slowing down, a violation against 12.1 of the general sportsmanship regulations. He gets a 10-second time penalty and 1 strike on his license.
Wow, there you go.
That's made things a bit interesting, hasn't it?
That spiced things up there. So that was sorry, what was the actual penalty for him, did you say? Sorry.
It was a violation of Rule 12.1, so general sportsmanship. So it's kind of an unsportsmanlike contact sort of thing.
No, what was the actual penalty given though? Sorry.
10 seconds time penalty.
Oh, that's big. Because we saw how close the field was there. And of course, the results, which of course is the official result after any penalties of that sprint race, will be taken to the grid for the 3rd race of this evening.
Yeah, it's thrown a little bit of a spanner in the works, hasn't it? As again, good job, I guess, if you're Barcelona, that you have this points buffer, because it's really coming in useful at this point in time. We'll see how far it puts him back through the field. I'm just trying to grab myself the live point standings to see if the stewards have indeed updated that particular situation.
No, not yet.
No, they haven't. They haven't done so just yet. But oh, yeah. It wouldn't be a finale without a little bit of drama, Paul. Let's just say that.
Well, I mean, it's certainly spiced things up. The thing is that Jacob Brzezinski, he only finished, what was it, 6th in the race. That'll move him up a position into 5th. There's still not a lot of points that he's going to be gaining over Moritz then, if that's the case. So it just depends on where Moritz ends up finishing in those official race results. We'll have to wait until the officials do fully declare the official results and to give us the actual things as they stand at the end of that opening race. But yeah, just when you thought it was going to be nice and easy for Moritz, it's all just opened wide back up. So definitely, this is something that we'll have to keep abreast on. But not that that matters for these drivers right now. They're just focusing purely on this final race now.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we will see. We will see as there's a bit of drama, but we've got the GT4s to get out of the way first, and then we'll get ourselves into the first endurance race of the doubleheader for the Gt3 Championship, where we can discuss those little issues just that little bit more. So we've got to get this out of the way, and then we'll do that. But less than a minute to go now until the gridding procedure. Of course, we did see Emre Can get himself onto pole position for today, and as the due to the points gap, still, you know, he's going to be for sure winning the championship at the end of this one. That is completely mathematically secure at this point, so he has got himself his ticket into the next season of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship 2022 in the Gt3 in the top Gt3 series. So that's fantastic stuff. I'm super excited to see how he's going to do there. But for everyone else, it's a scrap for those positions behind, and this is the race that will decide it.
Yeah, cannot wait. Standing start for all these drivers. Well, this is where they can have some fun in this finale and really give us some entertainment in these GT4s. They've produced some really good racing, have the GT4 drivers, and certainly it is one that I am looking forward to here.
I am as well. So we get the gridding procedure underway. The drivers will have a maximum of 60 seconds to get themselves ready, and then once everyone is ready, we'll get ourselves going on the way down in towards turn number 1. But this is the last round of the Gt4 Championship in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship, the support series that has given us a whole bunch of fun over the course of this season, comes to a close here at the Hockenheimring for round number 8 of their championship. Drivers, of course, now taking themselves to the starting grid. We'll get the starting signal in just a couple of moments' time. Important to get a good start here at Hockenheim, especially when it comes to try and get the line through that turn number 1 and then get position on the brakes in towards turn number 2. But all the drivers are ready. We'll get 20 minutes of racing action in the GT4s in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship for 2021. The final round of the GT4s is underway. Good start from Emre Cihan from pole position. He'll lead down in towards turn number 1. It's a battle for P3 though between Shaponskik via Krivi. We got Kunzer involved in that one. Kunzer up into 3rd place on the start here. Ottaviani maintaining that 2nd place just ahead. It's 3 wide behind as well between Grundwald, Pinces, Reidel, all involved in this one. All very clean through the first couple of corners here for at least the front half of your field. Let's see if there's any separation in the back half of the field, which would indicate an instant there. There is a little bit, but hopefully not too big of a drama on the start there for those guys at the very back. Down into towards the hairpin for the first time. Decent gap between Cihan, Ottaviani and Kunzer as your top 3, but there's the launch down the inside from Shasponek. And, well, has completely overcommitted because Kunz is able to nip back underneath.
Yeah, and that's one of the dangers that you find yourself in with that move down into the hairpin. And you mentioned it in our GT3 Sprint Race, Connery, that you can easily lose out with the cutback. And that, look at that dive! Oh, that was out of control behind! My goodness, what on earth was that? Well, Lotus just RKO out of nowhere. Bang! Into the side of them. It's almost as if he lost his braking spot.
Yeah, I mean, easy to do here, especially when you have a swarm of cars ahead of you and you can't see your usual reference in terms of your braking point. Here's Luciano Wittvogt looking down the inside of Thomas Martien. Oh, leaning on each other's doors through towards the S's section now. It's getting a little bit too close for comfort between the two. There's a shot to the back bumper from Wittvogt, just forcing Martien out of the way, and someone spun at the very back. There's Frank van Roon. That's had a big moment and a big mess at the back of the field.
Oh, it was Van Roon who, of course, made that ambitious dive down into Mercedes Arena, the turn number 8 that we saw earlier on. So, yeah, he's ended up falling victim, and quite a number of cars ended up involved in that accident then in Sudcurve. But still, they carry on with the racing right now. And Pinces, right now, is in 7th place. So, you know, he's going to be starting thinking about, right, where do I need to finish? Where do I need to get to be able to keep ahead of Ottaviani in this 2nd place in the championship? Because right now, in 7th place, he does have enough points for the time being.
4 scrapping for P8, 9 and 10 here. We will ride on board with for a little bit with the driver of Roberto Pigantro on the way in through the left-hander, just trying to swing that car through, almost gets up into the back bumper of the car ahead of him there as that was heading through turn number 8, and now we head our way through towards that arena section, heading through turn 11 now for Pigantro. You set up a run through here to maybe look to the inside through the Sachs curve, but not going to be the case on this occasion. And well, these 3 are, well, just running those to tail.
They are, but the problem is that they're allowing everyone in front to just waltz away, and Pinces has got a nice 2.2 second lead over them right now. So the Frenchman Martin is currently leading that gaggle of cars. No, sorry, it's Wittvogt, should I say, is leading that gaggle of cars. Audi versus 3 Lotuses, or Lotai, with I think we've had an Audi and a Lotus. Yes, we have, and I'm going to keep on bringing it back. But yeah, that's definitely a close gaggle of cars out there. And right now, Wittvogt seems to have the legs out of turn 2 and 3. Through turn 4, down the back straight here, but this is where that slipstream comes into effect.
It is, and we have to look back to the race lead because they're going side by side through the hairpin now. Emre Cihan able to hold position on the inside. Ottaviani got all sorts of out of shape on the outside of the hairpin there, and he's lost a couple of tenths of a second as a result. Is fighting further behind as well, in and amongst the whole Vitvoet, Gantro, Benzik, Neg battle that we were watching just before we even switched to the race leaders there. Gantro going to be looking down the inside now at turn number 8, and it's a bit of a mess behind as Mihai Neg is also looking to try and make a move on Tabea Benzik as well. So an Audi versus a Lotus in the background there. And they're still absolutely neck and neck, Neg and Benzik. And, well, it's going to take a bit of a squeeze maybe to sort this out through this corner. Make sure Neg doesn't crack out too wide and lose too much momentum. As a result of that, Benzik's going to look back down the inside at the Sachs curve. Turn number 12, but he spins round in the middle of the corner and loses all of his hard work. And there's also someone else involved. Neg's also involved in that as well.
Yeah, so getting a little bit... the way that it's just tried to get that one worked through Sachs curve didn't work out for neither of them. So Neg not having fun with all of that as well, and he's just dropped back for all of that. It was getting a little bit messy there, wasn't it, in that gaggle of cars? But Martin right now has got that 8th place, and he's looking forward. But the problem is he's got 2.8 seconds to Adam Pinces right now, as Cian Ottaviani half a second between those two at the front. That seems to have settled down. I think that Cian realises that the slipstream's going to be strong, especially down this section of the track. He needs to just try and break that slipstream in these more technical sections.
It is quite difficult to do though, but if there's one person who could do it, it would be Emre Cian, especially here in the GT4s. So I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do that. Battling back through the fields though, we do have the situation for P18, the Brazilian of Benzik, looking to try and get, or rather Pedro Magalhães looking to try and get through. It all gets a little bit confusing as Magalhães looks all over the back of Mihai Neg here. Neg, of course, now on a little bit of a recovery drive after that incident through to Sachs curve that we had just one lap ago. Magalhães still looking down the inside for the fast right-hander of turn 11, and now looking for a move potentially into the Sachs curve as Mihai Neg just trying to make that car as wide as possible.
And Neg determined not to now end up facing the wrong way like he was a lap earlier, so that's okay. He's managed to get that one place back up to 18th. We're going to, speaking of cars facing the wrong way, oh, there's another one going for a spin. 360 no scope, thank you very much. Oh, gets collected by another Lotus.
Yeah, that's the second big wreck that we've seen coming into the final corner so far this event. Maybe drivers getting in over their heads a little bit, and well, it is the final round of the season. You'd be forgiven for thinking you can have a little bit of fun if you're down through the order like this, but it's not ideal from a racing perspective. Back towards, well, not at the very front, but inside the top 6 cars, as we'll get to see the battle between Adam Pinces and Alexander Grunwald this time around. On the way in through the hairpin, Pinces trying to maintain the overlap is not successful though, but as long as he can keep close coming through turn 7 here, he'll be able to maybe look for a move into turn number 8, the next braking zone. And well, looking to the inside, he does show the nose, but no commitment there.
But he's showing his intentions, isn't he? He wants to try and get as many points as possible in this race, just to really secure his position in the championship, does Pinces. But well, going into the inside of turn 11 isn't really a traditional overtaking opportunity. Sachs curve, oh, they're going to make it too wide through here. I mean, you have got the camber that helps you around that corner. If you are wondering what I mean, that means that the track is slightly elevated on one side to the other. It's basically angled to help you around the corner. You can carry a little bit more speed than you imagine you would be able to through the Sachs curve, and that's why it helps you out through there into turn number 1. Careful not to hit that inside curve too hard, or else it will push you out way out west out into the runoff of turn 1.
So Pinces 4 tenths of a second behind, but later on the brakes into turn 2 than the Grunwald was able to manage. but I don't know if it's really gained him all that much in the grand scheme of things coming off the corner. Yeah, the gap is the same coming off as it was going in, so it was just a big scare, I suppose, for those two drivers involved. Looking to the pointy end of the field, well, at least we've got a bit of a change here in the fact that Qian isn't running away and putting multiple seconds on the rest of the field. He actually has a challenger this time around in the form of Ottaviani.
Well, we saw this, didn't we, a number of rounds ago, didn't we, that Ottaviani didn't have things his own way. And it was at a track also that you could really overtake at. And you look behind, you know, Kunze and Co, they're not that far behind either. So first through to about fifth are all pretty much in a queue right now. So Qian not having it all his own way.
He isn't, and well, as soon as these front two start fighting, you have to consider the fact that maybe P3, 4, 5 all looking to get themselves involved in a potential battle for the race win if push comes to shove. So, you know, because they are there, they're close enough to make an attempt of it. So now things start to get a little bit sketchy here for Emre Qian. We have to see what his defensive skills are like here at the Hockenheimring. That's what I get the feeling. He's kind of done well to maintain the gap at the moment by about 4 or 5 tenths of a second, but any closer, Ottaviani is for sure going to be trying to size up moves on him.
You'd imagine so, wouldn't you? Just playing that patient game right now. He knows he's still got just under 9 minutes remaining in this race, so it's not the end of the world. But look at that, Qian feeling the need to try and break the slipstream there. Out of turn number 4, through 5, Parabolica, and heading towards turn number 6. So he's not close enough to make any moves here. And you see how the slipstream isn't the strongest if you're too far back. Meanwhile, Kunze having to go defensive. Oh, a little mistake there from Shaposhnik. And he's going to come under pressure now from Krevi. The battle between Ukraine and Finland. They're almost touching door mirrors, and still they stay side by side.
Incredible stuff through to number 8, now into 9. Looks like Shaposhnik has been able to maintain the position here. Of course, they came under threat due to battling a little bit earlier on. Here comes Krevi again with a shoulder nose into the next turn, on turn 11, but there's no sting in that move, unfortunately. So it was just a big show rather than any realistic attempt. But with 7.5 minutes left to go now, we still got this relatively interesting situation at the front here. Emre Qian and Ottaviani. Ottaviani just needs, I feel like he just needs that little extra here on one of these laps to try and break that 4 tenths of a second barrier that he does seem to have run up against. Oh, someone's in the wall. Is that Shaposhnik? I think it is.
Oh, heartbreak for the Ukrainian. Careful with your rejoin. Fortunately, it's at a position where people can see him readily and be able to move offline. But oh, Shaposhnik, it was looking so good for him, wasn't it? He was battling away for a top 5 finish. And well, there you go, into the wall. That is not an ideal way to take a motorcar around this venue. And right now, Grunwald coming under pressure from Krevi.
Here, so Krevi now looking down the inside at the hairpin, and has got a decent amount of speed heading down into the braking zone, but being on the inside isn't everything here for the hairpin. If you can swing it around the outside and carry your momentum to the exit and then get better speed off, but Grunwald has been successful in holding position for now on that outside line. Krevi still stuck behind, maybe, maybe looking more defensive actually in towards turn number 8, but he's overcooked the corner, and now it has allowed Adam Pinces down the inside there. The Hungarian gaining a spot up into the top 5.
Yeah, Pinces then just helping make sure that he secures that second place in the GT4 Championship. And Ottaviani, who's not been able to do anything about Emre Qian at the front of the field, means that Pinces is in that perfect position to secure himself that championship position here today. But you know, that was all it was really about, wasn't it, Connery? Today it was all about celebrating Emre Cihan's amazing performances, but also to keep an eye on this battle between Ottaviani and Pinces.
It really is, and it seems like this is going to be the main featured battle towards the end inside the final 5 minutes here. The gap between Cihan and Ottaviani has extended, well, 2 times, basically, up from 0.4 of a second to now 0.8 of a second. So that battle looking less and less likely to happen in the final couple of laps. But the one between Grunfeld and Pinces certainly looking a lot closer, as Pinces maintaining the slipstream on the way down the back straight. And maybe another attempt has to be made down into the hairpin, as Grunfeld thought about going defensive there into the braking zone. Pinces looking to commit around the outside, just drags the brakes in. Not going to be able to get anything done, but he's being a bit creative about it.
Yeah, certainly trying everything, he can to get past. But Grunwald in that Lotus doing a sterling effort, and you can see the Lotus behind as well, clearly showing off that Finnish driving technique. May not be the fastest way around the track, but he was certainly sliding it around like it was the Thousand Lakes Rally. Fortunately, no jumps at this venue, so these cars can stay in one piece. But, you know, time is running out here if you do want to make any more moves forward. And if your Pinces, you'd like to finish at least 4th in this race.
Yeah, that would be a great little parting prize for the season, I suppose. Grunwald doing his level best to try and maintain that position, though the Austrian driver having a very good performance here today, especially considering the highest placed of the Lotuses in this field at the moment, being tailed quite closely by an Audi, however. So we might potentially see ourselves an Audi 1, 2, 3, 4 here, given the right set of circumstances. But I do rate Grunwald's chances here to be able to hold the position. He's done very well so far.
Yeah, certainly keeping it up and keeping going. And you know, Grunwald, it'd be a great result for him, the Austrian, to make it to the end and to get that 4th place. He's had to fight for it, hasn't he, though? He's had multiple cars try and relinquish him of that position, but he's been able to hang on. And look at that, the line that he takes there, it just closes off the outside late brake move to swing it around the outside, but it also means that he can react to any inside move as well. It's a very well done line by the Lotus driver, and it means that Pinces can't make his way through at the normal overtaking spot at the hairpin, so he's going to have to do things a little bit different and try and look for a move elsewhere on the track. But 2.5 minutes remaining, we're going to get about we're getting close to whether it'll be 2 laps, possibly 1.
Well, there is Emre Cihan. He's just headed his way out of the Sachs curve. He's coming through the final couple of corners now. The average lap time would been high 147s. So
yeah, it should be 2.
Yeah, so 2 to go from this point for Emre Cihan and the rest of the field. So it gives us a couple more opportunities to have a little bit of a couple of fun fights, I suppose, before the season is done for the GT4 Championship. Grunwald and Pinces, the highest placed and closest battle at the moment. There's a couple of closer ones further down the order, but this one is the first one for a major precision here into the final couple of laps of the event. Pinces looking to try and hook up this first sector, you know, through turn 2 and through turn 3 to be able to allow the opportunity down the back straight. He's gotten himself a pretty good run, actually, out of those first few corners. So this is probably one of the best chances that he's had to try and get by down into the hairpin, but it's all about the execution. Grunwald going to go defensive all the way to the inside. Now middle of the track as Pinces caught in 2 minds. Where does he go? Where does he go? As they both head their way in through to the hairpin, both with very diabolical lines through there. Both of them weren't sure which line they wanted to take through there, but Grunwald maintains his position the most importantly.
I mean, they were both moving about so much under braking that it just meant that the cars were sliding past the apex there. You know, send it a postcard, because you're not visiting that apex, that's for sure. And so, but crucial, it was both of them that made the same mistake. So that means that Princess still stays behind, and we'll be getting one more lap. He needs another run like that, though.
Yeah.
But he needs to pick a side and then keep to it. He can't go moving about too much. I mean, really, the car in front should only move once in that sort of situation, and not move twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah, that would be the ideal situation, but right now it is these two with a handful of seconds coming across the line to start the final lap here of the GT4 Championship. Not just the final lap of the race, but the final lap of the season here for the support series of the GT3 Championship. Princess looking to try and bag himself a P4 at the end of today. And, well, he's had a couple of attempts already. None of them have been successful. Faster through the apex of turn 1 than Grunfeld. That has been a theme over the course of this race, but not as close this time in the slipstream than he was last lap down in towards the hairpin. So this is going to be a little bit trickier for Princess. He might not even have an opportunity down into the hairpin this time. Of course, he's still going to do a little bit of weaving, trying to show the nose one way, then the other. Another slight missed apex there from Grunfeld, though, under no pressure. So that was a bit of an unforced error from the Austrian driver, and it has allowed Princess just to draw just that a little bit closer, coming through to the middle sector now. Up in towards turn number 8, still not quite close enough. Philip Creevy is on the back of this one as well, so he can pick up the pieces just in case things go oh so wrong. Princess 0.2 of a second behind now, gets a very, very good run indeed through turn 10, now into turn 11. It might have to be the Sachs curve when he gets this one done. Let's see then, is it an almighty lunge, positioning slightly forward, but the opportunity to simply does not arise, and into the S's section. It seems like Grunfeld should be clear, so we'll get ourselves the chance to look at the driver that has been so dominant here in the GT4 Championship of the ADAC GT Masters Esports season. He wins here at Hockenheim and does the sweep. Rest of the mid-pack runners coming through now. Pignatro, as I'll probably get the pronunciation right at some point, comes out ahead of Alex Moisin there for P8. The rest of the battle's not really that close through the bottom end of the top 20, but Paul, there is no faulting the young Turk in this one. He won again, and a championship.
Yeah, I mean, he had the championship sewn up before we entered this final race, but that Team Fordzilla driver, he had to work a lot for it in this race, it must be said, but the final 5 minutes, he really got the hammer down and pulled away from Ottaviani, who Ottaviani got the fastest lap of the race here today, with Kunze rounding out the top 3. Princess then holds on to his second place in the championship. Get my words out eventually, and yeah, I mean, it's tremendous racing that we've seen once again in the GT4 series, and it's what we've grown to expect from this championship, that is for sure. And but yeah, it's a little tip of the hat then to Emre Can, because that has just been utter domination throughout this championship, and well, look forward to see what he does next season in the GT3s.
Yeah, that's the important thing. That's what these guys have been fighting over the course of the entirety of the GT4 season, is who gets that ticket into the next season and doesn't have to go through the whole very grueling qualifying procedure with the the time attacks and the shootouts and everything like that just to get yourself a slot inside of the main championship. You've done it through the support series instead, and so the pressure's off a little bit, and there's no dread before the start of the season whether or not you'll be able to qualify. So I think Chian can just have a little bit more of a relaxed time of it over the next couple of months, knowing that he has booked his slot into the next season of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. But with GT4s done now, we head back to GT3s, the first of the double-header endurance races here for the last event of the season is about to get itself underway. And of course, we have to touch on it again. Moritz Lohner getting himself a pretty hefty penalty at the very end of the sprint race due to slowing down deliberately to try and get a bit higher in terms of the reverse grid starting position. And that was deemed as unsportsmanlike conduct.
I can give you 12.1 general sportsmanship. Drivers must respect the sport, the competition, and their competitors. Drivers must always aim to achieve the best results for themselves in each race, whilst driving within the rules and obeying to fair play. So it's the crucial part of that is achieving the best result for themselves.
Yep.
And that's it. It's not about a team championship. There is no team championship here. And that's why the stewards have given him that 10-second penalty, because he was not trying to obtain the best result for himself. He was trying to get the best result for his teammate. So that's why he's got that penalty. It dropped him down to 15th. He loses 17 points in the championship to Jacob Brzezinski.
But again, he's counting his lucky stars, though, because if Brzezinski was a couple positions higher, if Brzezinski was, P2, P3, P2, no matter what, that penalty would have hurt a lot more. But due to the points buffer that Lohner had coming into this round, it's not a panicky situation just yet. If the same thing happens here in the reverse grid race and he gets caught up in a mid-pack incident and falls back to the back of the field, then we have a race on. Then we have a championship challenge, potentially, if Brzezinski's able to get himself a good result in that reverse grid race.
Well, here's the thing, of course. So Brzezinski in that race then, with the official results, finishes 5th place. Reverse grid draw, so he's going to be starting near the front of the grid. Moritz Lohner is starting in 15th for this race, and crucially as well, for the second feature race as well.
Yeah.
So he's really been hit hard with that one penalty. It must be said, though, Moritz hasn't gone screaming. He hasn't gone. He's just accepted the decision of the stewards and said, right, okay, let's get on with the next race. And that's the attitude that you need to have if you want to win this championship.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect Moritz to react in any other way. Let's just say that he's always been an absolute gentleman. Always, when me and him have had discussions, he's always been super nice and hasn't had a bad word to say about anyone. So I think he's taking it well. Of course, it's not ideal. It makes his life a little bit more difficult coming into these double-header endurance races. But again, it's just a case of keeping himself out of trouble, and he'll end up coming out on top at the end of this one. But sometimes keeping out of trouble is the hardest thing to do, because sometimes it's not within your power.
Yeah, you're open to the gods then at that point. And we saw a relatively clean start to the first of the GT3 races here today. We saw a relatively clean start in the GT4s as well, it must be said. So drivers are seeming to be behaving themselves around Hockenheim. But here's the thing. With 2 endurance races, we've got 2 races where tyre strategy is now going to come to play. So we've seen how Moritz has been able to take a bad race. I mean, you look at his results last time out, an awful sprint race. That feature race last time out, he was up there top 5. It was all about that strategy, and all about working hard and getting those clean laps whilst he could with the fresh rubber, and it worked out so perfectly for him.
Yeah, it really did, and there is the possibility for Lohner to try a bit of an alternate strategy given his starting position here for this one as well. So again, he still has a lot of options available to him, and let's not kid ourselves. Unless he gets himself involved in an incident or some problems, he's still pretty secure as far as championship picture is concerned. But he can't rely on that. He can't rest on your laurels here at this one. You need to try and go chasing for every position possible, chasing for the best result. As soon as you sort of back off and relax and take things at about 90%, that's when things start to go wrong.
Certainly is, and you want to make sure you have things go your way, go your own way. And really, this is a case of the drivers. They really need to be able to just keep the focus, keep their composure in these races, and I'm not just talking about your championship competitors. Everybody wants to do well in this race. It's the end of the season. It's the final 2 races of the championship. There's nothing better. There's no better feeling than if you've had maybe not the best of seasons to get a couple of good, really good results in this final round of the championship, just to give you that little bit of confidence, that little bit of momentum, so that then you can take it forward into the following season.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got ourselves 10 seconds left in practice, and well, we won't be having a qualifying session, so we'll be able to get ourselves into the next event very, very shortly. Indeed, with the reverse grid race based on the results of the sprint race. So top 10 have been reversed. Of course, it'll look a little bit different compared to the top 10 you would have thought at the end of the sprint race due to the penalties that have come through. But we will, of course, keep you up to date on that one. So gridding procedure underway, and the anticipation continuing to rise, you would have thought here in this one, because these guys, you know, they know that there's potentially a lot on the line, not only in this race, but maybe even more so in the next race, depending on the exact set of circumstances we have coming out of the first endurance race here today. And, well, I'm certainly here for it.
Absolutely. Just to remind anyone, if you've not watched any of these races and you missed the start of the previous GT3 race, we will not be going on the green light. The drivers will form up single file, go around on the warm-up lap, then form up double file out the exit of turn 11 to get ourselves ready for a rolling start. But how good is it to see a Mercedes on the front row of the grid? The Mercedes have just been completely missing throughout this championship, so it's really good to see that car up on the front row.
It really is. So drivers rolling away from the starting grid under their formation lap. It will be Christopher Högfeldt on the pole position here for this one. Tim Yarshell second place, Mark Garsner in third, Kevin Sigge fourth, Isaac Price fifth, Jacob Brzezinski sixth, Jeffrey Rietveld in seventh, Florian Hasse in eighth, Marco Beich in ninth, and Ben Spanky will be P10 due to winning the sprint race. So he'll catch the worst end of the reverse grid. But we can pull the standings up on the left-hand side of your screen just so you know where everyone starts, and if you don't have an incredible memory and just remember the results from the sprint race off the top of your head. My memory certainly isn't that good, but yeah, that's the current picture here on the start of the coming to the start of the first endurance race.
Yeah, there you go. There, Högfeldt, Yarshell, Garsner, Sigge, Price, Brzezinski. That's the one your main sort of championship contender now here in this series. And we can tell you going into this race, Moritz Lerner is on 365 points. Jacob Brzezinski 313. So he has caught up that gap. It's still a sizable gap though. Moritz will be feeling comfortable. But if Jacob Brzezinski gets a good result here and Moritz gets caught up in some sort of incident and ends up not finishing, then it can turn things on its head heading into the final race. But there's lining up too wide, Connery, and well, this could really mix things up in terms of the championship.
It really, really can. There's a lot to look forward to here in the first endurance race. We've still got so much racing to go in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship finale for 2021. Christopher Högfeldt leading them through the final couple of corners here. He's the car on the outside of the front row taking us to the start here. We'll get the starting signal in just a couple of moments. The first of our doubleheader endurance rounds here in the finale of the Gt3 ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship is now underway. What a start though from Tim Yarshell from the inside of the front row. He lead coming through turn number one. Högfeldt was caught napping. Now he's having to scrap for P2 with Mark Garsner on the way down in towards the second turn here. Högfeldt looking to the inside here, trying to maintain position, but Garsner just swings it around in that Audi, still challenging your pole position sitter. So Högfeldt from P1 down to P3 in the opening couple of corners. That is a horrible start from your pole position sitter.
Yeah, not a good launch at all. I was wondering if it was Garcia that we saw go off in the background at turn number 1 and the Red Bull Esports driver. He will not be happy with that. Through the hairpin the first time. This is a place where we can get really, really tight. And it was going 3 wide in several places through the hairpin. Out of there they go in towards turn number 8. Isaac Price looking to try and make a move around the outside. Back end slides out a little bit on that Bentley now. And here comes Kevin Siggy and also Jacob Brzezinski.
Yeah, it seems like we did have an incident through turn 1. I think it was Nestor Garcia in the Mercedes that had an issue there as Kevin Siggy looking down the inside of Brzezinski here. Brzezinski, of course, needs to capitalize on Lona's misfortune here in the first race due to that penalty. Of course, for Brzezinski, it's basically his only chance now at getting himself in with a championship shot. Is just try and claw his way through the field, try and get up into P1 and hope Moritz Lohner has an awful time further down the field. I'm having a look to see where he is. Moritz Lohner down in P15 at the moment, so hasn't exactly moved forward from where he started, and he's involved in the thick of things in that mid-pack, which is the worst place to be.
We saw, didn't we, though, in race 1, there he goes, looking down the inside of the BMW. Pliska, though, he's not going to give that one up without a fight, that's for sure. But we saw in that first race how the Porsche didn't really seem to be in their favour in the first sort of 5-10 minutes of the race. And then the car really came to Moritz throughout that race. We've got multiple moves down into the hairpin. We've got a bit of contact. Oh, wow.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4 cars involved in that.
And it all missed Moritz Lohner. He was the last car to get through that unscathed. He was basically ahead of everything and on the right line. So he's counting his lucky stars at the moment that he wasn't caught up in all of that, because it has caused the mid-pack of this one to shuffle quite a bit. Lots of drivers having to slow down, lots of drivers getting spun around, and now it's caused a little bit of chaos here further back through the field as everyone just tries to find a place to run at the end of this lap. And well, we see Alejandro Arjona looking down the inside of Michael Rachel here. This is for P16. Out there on circuit, side by side through the S's section, and Alexander Dornadel looking to try and get his way through. Dorpage is on the inside and gets the position.
I want to say a quick mention to one driver who's in that pack as well, Nikodem Ruzniewski, who had technical problems in the sprint race and he couldn't take part, but now started at the back of the field to 21st already in this race, so he's on a bit of a hard charge and he'll be wanting to move further forward in all of this. It's worth pointing out as well, in the championship it was Florian Hasse and also Bent Banki who had really done well out of the race 1 results. It's Bonky into 3rd place in the championship, but Florian Hasse just 3 points behind him in 4th. So those two are battling it out over that 3rd place in the championship.
Yep, they are. We just saw that Moritz Lohner able to get a pass done on Max Pfeiffer and Jonas Vanna. So he's got a couple of cars clear now. He's up into P12. It was P15 not too long ago, so a good amount of progress being made right now by your championship leader. Further forwards though, here's Hasse, here's Rietveld, Brzezinski a little bit further down the road as well, all still stacked up nose to tail in this train. And of course some drivers perhaps already thinking about, okay, what am I going to do as far as strategy is concerned here. What's the over-under on Isaac Price just doing the long first stint again?
Oh, he's going to be out there without a doubt. He's got a nice bit of pace here as Isaac. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him. He's not really dragging Kevin Siggy along with him here. And he's hanging on to the coattails of Högfeldt and also Gassner and Yarshall in front. So he'll be feeling quite comfortable here at the moment. He's not really making any moves. So that's doing a little bit of, a little bit of looking after his tyres at the moment. He'll be just be able to just let off the gas a little bit, do a little bit of lift and coast into the corner, because that will save your tyres just that little bit by not having to brake quite so hard onto those hairpins. And there's a move. Jeffrey Rietveld trying to make the move on Florian Hasse. Now here's a point I was going to make a little bit earlier. Hasse right now in 7th place, he can do good twofold. First of all, if he moves ahead of Brzezinski, he gets himself extra points in his championship battle for 3rd place off Bent Banki, but also it denies Brzezinski points against his teammate Moritz Lerner in the championship. So I think if you're Lerner and Door Esports, you're hoping that Florian Hasse can move forward in this one.
And that certainly would be a beneficial train of thought as far as their main teammates championship is concerned. Down in P12 at the moment, still has a pretty comfortable points buffer. So for Lerner, it's just a case of taking the laps and overtaking the cars as they come, I suppose. And of course, we are soon going to be able to get into the start of the pit window for the first stop here today in the first endurance race. Of course, if you're unfamiliar with the way the situation with the pit stops works here in this championship, they will have the one scheduled stop. The pit window will open relatively soon, and drivers have to come down in and get themselves sorted out with fresh tyres and, of course, fuel until the very end of the race as well. Looking further forward, though, Christopher Högfeldt coming under threat from Isaac Price. Price committing down the outside in the very jet black Bentley there. Looking to try and get the drive off the corner on that Mercedes. Of course, one of 2 Mercedes in this entire field, and the other Mercedes has retired from the event. So the only one left out there is Christopher Högfeldt, but he's covering off all the moves well so far on the way in towards turn 8 and keeping Price behind him, but seemingly stacking up the field in the process as well.
If you think that's jet black, you need your eyes tested, Connery. That's like a carbon fibre effect on there right now. That's not jet black. If you want jet black,
I need to calibrate my monitor.
You need to go to Whitby. That you could get Whitby Jet from there. That's black. But yeah, Isaac, the privateer is out there on his own. He's got no teammates to work with, so he's got to do things the hard way here. And the thing is, these two battling, Högfeldt and Price, as you quite rightly say, bringing Siggy, bringing Brzezinski and et al. Into this battle, but it's also allowing those front 2 to just pull away as well. So yeah, it's not working out for him, as we see actually Payich having to go defensive on Jack Keithley, who's also got Moritz Lerner behind him as well. So
Lerner's certainly starting to establish a foothold in this train now. He's got right up onto the back of it, and now, well, we certainly know that he's no stranger to trying to get overtakes done, trying the recovery drives here in this series. And, well, here's Payich and Keithley fighting ahead of him there. And, well, further down the road, there's Price and Siggy also going wheel to wheel for P4 as well. But Price ahead of Siggy still on the way down in towards turn number 8 now. All closing up on the brakes into there, looking further back. Here's the fight in front of Lerner, as Lerner now tries to go down the inside of Payich. Oh, that's a risky move on Keithley as well. He does back out at the last second, but that could have been ending in tears.
Certainly could have. And, well, fortunately for Lerner, able to get that one position then over Payich. So that's just moving him forward. And remember, everybody, he started 15th here in this race. He also starts 15th in the final race of the evening as well, the second endurance race of the evening. And we've got people heading down to pit road already. And amazingly, one of them is Isaac Price.
Right, this is completely unknown for Isaac Price. He's come down in the first opportunity instead of the very last opportunity. Moritz Lerner did decide to stay out, though. He still feels good on those tyres and looking to try and continue to press forward here in this event. We had Jeffrey Rietveld come down in, Kevin Siggy, so both the Team Redline cars have come down in. Christopher Högfeldt is also in at this point as well. And of course, if you're unfamiliar with RaceRoom, you can see the little red icons on the left-hand side, well, of your screen, but on the right-hand side of the scoring tower. That will turn green once they've completed their scheduled stop. So it's an easy way to tell who needs to come in and who does not.
Yeah, as so eloquently put there, Quadri. Yeah, mandatory pit stop. You have to stop for tyres. That is the mandated thing that you have to do in that pit stop there. So as you can see, the back four then, Högfeldt, Price, Siggy and Rietveld, well, have pretty much stayed in the order that they came into pit road of those 4 cars. So it's how they use that fresh rubber now. It's how they use that fresh rubber here to get some quick lap times in. Interested to see what others do pit stop wise. You've got the 2 teammates of Yarshel and Gassner from our MRS Esports. They are both heading onto pit road at the same time. They're now just doing the just trying to stop any undercut happening from those drivers who did head onto pit road at the first opportunity.
So Brzezinski will be the first car to stay out on circuit here, followed by Hasse, followed by Banki, followed by Gt3, followed by Lona. So it seems like a lot of the Dora Esports cars continuing to remain out there for now. So it's sometimes interesting when you see these split decisions from the teams, because we saw both Team Redline cars come down in. We saw both the guys at the very front come down in, and also we're seeing Dora Esports staying out now at this point. So it is a team decision a lot of the time about which way is the best way to go. But there are the MRSA Esports cars coming down and out of pit lane now. Michael Rochel for Dora Esports is in, maybe a little bit different compared to the rest of his contingent, shall we say. Coming back out onto circuit now, here's Gassner securely ahead of Högfeldt. So Högfeldt, Price, Siggy, and et al. Well, didn't really gain all that much out of it. Granted, they only had about 1 or 2 laps worth of fresh tyres, and even then, the cold fresh tyres.
But crucially though, they've got out ahead, but crucially for Högfeldt, he was about 2.5 seconds behind Gassner when he came onto pit road just a lap prior to this. So to gain about a second and a half there on that 1 lap of fresh rubber, that is actually quite good information for those up at the front to say, right, okay, we need to think about pitting now, or else we'll come out behind those that we were fighting for earlier.
Yeah, we'll see, because some drivers, try to commit to this long strategy, and well, if there's one track where it'll work a lot better than others, it's probably this one due to the ample overtaking opportunity at this circuit. It's not like the other circuits that we've been to where track position is the name of the game, and you just kind of want to come in as early as possible to try and secure the track position, no matter if your second stint tires are completely dead at the very end of the session. But maybe things are working a little bit differently here at Hockenheimring. Here's Arjuna and Wisniewski going wheel to wheel for P11 through the first couple of corners. The Corvette remaining ahead of the Bentley here in this one. One of 3 Corvettes in this field. The highest placed Corvette, in fact, is Alejandro's car, and Wisniewski looking to challenge back on him in towards the hairpin now.
So what you're trying to tell me is that there was no overtaking at Oschersleben or Sachsenring. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That's because you're correct. There was no overtaking there, that's for sure. But this is great to see the Chevy out there showing its wares, and in a fantastic livery as well. The Traction GG car, although he just gets the back end loose, and that's ample opportunity for Wisniewski to try and make the move. But look at this, trying to get the cut back to the inside. No, that's not going to happen this time.
Not at all. David Nagy third in this train of cars as well. The Bentley relatively okay in this one so far. We've had other drivers, I think, come down in. Yes, we have. So Jack Keithley is coming in now. We've had, I think, Max Pfeiffer also in. Max Pfeiffer is in at this stage as well. So they're coming down in drips and drabs. It doesn't seem like there's a big one committed decision to have a pit party on one particular lap. It seems like these drivers are coming down as and when they feel the best time is to come down in, instead of having that sort of hive mind decision.
I think what's crucial here now is Moritz Lerner is only, a couple of seconds back from Jacob Brzezinski, his closest championship rival right now. So he's in quite a close page, gets close to the back of Lerner there. But, it's getting quite, that will fill him with confidence that he's only that far back, even though he started, 9 places back from Brzezinski at the start of the race. So, the German, the former champion, the current champion, Moritz Lerner, doing a good job once again.
He is, and this might be a championship-winning drive for Moritz Lerner. It was always going to be likely it was going to be that anyway, but for now he kept himself out of trouble in the early portions of the race, which is the most crucial phase of this first endurance race for him. He couldn't afford to get caught up in any shenanigans there. And he's kept himself out of trouble. He was close many times, actually. Twice, 3 times. Cars around him sort of threatened him with contact, and who knows what could have happened in those situations. But now he's surrounded by front runners. He's got a couple of his teammates involved in this one as well. So feeling a lot more safe at this stage compared to those opening couple of laps for sure.
If Jacob Brzezinski wants to continue this championship fight into the final endurance race, he needs to score 12. Well, 12 points would take it then that he would have to win and Moritz would have to DNF. But really, 13 points to give him any chance of getting the championship here. And even if you did it on countback, I mean, Moritz has got 3 race wins coming into this round of the championship. So countback is quite favourable. Although if Brzezinski does get those 12 points and then wins that final race, I still don't think that'd be enough of a countback. So Brzezinski needs really to be. Ideally, he would be pulling away right now from this queue of cars, and all he's doing here is just dragging along a Door Esports train.
Yeah, that is exactly it. And you see Hassa, you see Monkey, you see Lona, 3 Door Esports cars all in a line there, and they would be probably committed to the same strategy here as well. So I doubt we'll see. Actually, just completely cancel out that, because Lona's come down on his own without his teammates.
No, but this is it. If he's got a gap, if his spotter, if his engineer has said there's a gap out there for you to fall into, you take that opportunity and you go for it. You get that pit stop done. Now, if he gets a good outlap here, and if he has himself a little bit of clear air, he can look at possibly catching even more to Jacob Brzezinski in this pit stop phase. So that's a really interesting call from the Door Esports driver.
Yeah, so there he is on the pit lane all alone for the moment. There's the retirement of Néstor Garcia and the Red Bull Racing Esports Mercedes behind him, but off and away he goes. Where does he come out in relation to everyone else? We're expecting quite a bit of lost time due to the other drivers coming down in earlier and getting the fresher tyres. He does seem to have come out now behind Jeffrey Rietveld, but ahead of Jack Keithley here. So not too far off that little battle pack, which is positive stuff.
Well, if you remember, he was behind Jack Keithley, wasn't he? Was Moritz?
Also true.
Before the pit stop phase. So even though Jack has had those fresher tyres, Moritz has found himself actually ahead of Jack in the battle here.
Battle ahead, Siggy going deep around the outside at the hairpin, trying to find a way by the Swede in the Mercedes, and with the drive off the corner that Audi gets, it's all sealed on the exit of the corner. There might be an opportunity back into turn 8 for Högfeldt, but no, staying behind. Now he's in a red line bread sandwich here, as Rietveld is also looking to try and pick up that position as well in the BMW. So the 3 different manufacturers represented in this battle, and Moritz Lerner in the background in the Porsche, in the 4th manufacturer, continuing to gain on these guys as well as his tyres come up to the right operating window.
I wonder if red line bread is wholemeal. Well, anyway, we'll find out as they go along. No, it's about 99 octane, isn't it? Is there, Brett? But right now, you can see that Rietveld, he wants to get by as quickly as possible. That BMW wants to try and make some moves. Nagy is on pit road right now for his pit stop, so that's a position gain for all these drivers who did have their pit stop earlier. But Rietveld, I think he feels the urgency. He wants to try and move forward in this and try and get ahead to make some moves and start thinking about moving forward in the field.
Rietveld stepping out of the line now on the way into the heavy braking zone. Rietveld might be losing 2 positions in the space of 2 laps here. Basically at the same point on the circuit. Still closing slightly on the insides there. Rietveld struggling to get the traction off the corner. And that was his ample opportunity for Moritz Lohner to try and make an impact in this one, as he has the tyre advantage on the way in towards turn 8 now, looking to the outside. Rietveld having to place that car in all the right places to try and keep your championship leader behind. And he has done so for the moment, but it has cost a little bit of time further down the road to Hoogveld. So he went from offense to defense.
Certainly did. Really, really good. And now, Lerner, he's trying to make the most of those tyres whilst he can, but he's got Jack Keithley behind him, who himself is trying to salvage a 3rd place in the championship. Here is Jack, and things haven't been going his way this opening race, and then this one here. Krippner is into the pits now, so that's another one onto pit road, getting their service. But crucially, Brzezinski, Hasser and Banki, along with Page, all staying out there, and they're all together in a queue. And Dorneden is actually pretty much close up the back of that queue at the front.
Yes, let's take a look at it. There he is, and you'll see just that little bit further down the road. We will see Marco Page. So there's a little gap between the 2 of them there, but yeah, continuing to make forward progress here is Dorneden as well. He's in a couple of tenths of a second.
Lerner and Rietveld.
Let's have a look then, because they are going to wheel, but Rietveld maintaining position for now, and he's certainly not going to give Moritz Lohner any favours here in this one. Battle stringing out single file on the way through turn 8 though, and Keithley now just getting that little bit closer as well. Maybe is able to apply a little bit of pressure to the rear end of that Porsche and cause Lohner a little bit of an issue. And of course it would be within Keithley's best interest to apply as much pressure as possible, considering Lohner is fighting with his teammate for the championship.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, Keithley, I mean, he was coming into this round of the championship as an outside opportunity for that title. That after race 1 is pretty much done and dusted. He still has a very slim outside opportunity, but he would have to basically be winning this race and hoping for Lerner to not have a good time out there. Dorneden's been in and had his pit stop, so he's back out running. But Lerner just feeling that pressure from behind. So Keithley, he's not going to give it up as the young Brit. He's going to keep on fighting. And Isaac Price actually has been slowly gaining on Yarshall and Gassner in front of him. So as soon as they got past Hoogveld, Price has been able to pull away from them.
He really has. Gap continuing to extend at this point as well. So Price getting himself a decent bit of breathing room compared to all the other cars around him. Here comes the send from Lohner down the inside of the red line car. There's a little bit of contact through the middle of the corner. Rietveld still able to hold on here, but that was a big lunge from Moritz Lohner there. Maybe an unnecessarily big lunge. Maybe going to have a little bit of an attempt into turn 8 as well. No, going to duck back in line after showing the nose, but that was a bit risky there from Moritz.
Yeah, he's pulled the trigger thinking I need to get past here, but it's not happening for him. And to be honest, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed that he's not been able to make as much progress forward on the fresher rubber than he would have expected to over these cars. Florian Hasser, I do believe, is headed onto pit road. So he's the latest one to head onto there. There he is. So he's getting his service. And he'll be back up underway very shortly indeed. In fact, there he goes.
So here he comes then, trundling down the pit lane. Siggy has already gone by. Högfeldt soon. Where's he going to come out in relation to this battle? He'll not have the momentum down in towards turn number 1. Does he slot in ahead of Jack Heathley here? He slots in a battle with Jack Heathley, in fact, and door-to-door contact coming off the pit lane between the two of them here. This will give Lohner just a chance to breathe now, because now Jack Heathley has to focus on trying to fight with Florian Hasse.
And again, it's just Lerner is just slowly making his way forward. Here comes Hasse then, trying to make the move around the outside. Meanwhile, in front of them, battling between Högfeldt and Rietveld, and Lerner almost turns Rietveld there. That would have been a big controversial moment. The stewards would have been having a look at that for sure if there was further contact between them. But yeah, that's a big moment, and Moritz can't afford to get himself involved in silly incidents like that.
He can't, and maybe he's feeling a little bit more pressure than is really warranted at this point. The points still look in his favour, even if he does finish here and Brzezinski wins the race. Yeah, it's a little bit close for comfort heading into the final endurance race well, just literally immediately after this one, but still, I think Lohner is sort of maybe getting a little bit panicked at the moment, and just especially considering, like you said, he's on fresher tyres and still hasn't been able to make that much forward progress. Brzezinski, Banki, Pejic, Jaršel, or other Brzezinski, Banki, Pejic are all just laughing at this at the moment, just saying, okay, we're just we know Lohner's stuck in traffic, we can just chill.
And that's it. That's exactly it. They can just keep on doing their own thing. And we're getting towards the end of that pit window now. In fact, so you do have that window where you have to take that mandatory pit stop. So Brzezinski, Banki and Pejic up at the front, they'll be heading onto pit road sooner rather than later, that's for sure. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see them come onto pit road now as Rietveld to the inside, and Lerner looking to try and get the cut back here. That's a brilliant exit out the hairpin, 3 wide on the exit, and Lerner has jumped 2 cars there in one move.
That's incredible. It's not done though into turn 8. No, Rietveld looking down the inside of Högfeldt. There's door-to-door contact between the two of them, and now Jack Heathley looking to try and make it 3 wide off the corner as well. Multiple bits of contact amongst all of these drivers, and Lohner is just laughing at this point. He can't believe he's gotten himself past a good couple of cars in just so quick succession, as Keithley now squeezing through on Christopher Högfeldt there, so or rather Jeffrey Rietveld. So Keithley's gained a whole bunch out of this as well, so all of a sudden tables have been turned, and it's in the favour of Lohner once again. I gotta start doing whatever superstition he does before races.
That's for sure. I mean, Rietveld was hyper aggressive with that move as Pejic has been on pit road. There's Brzezinski. He's just going to come out. Oh, there's Lerner with Brzezinski. So we said that it'd be in and around with that fresher rubber, and Lerner is as close as he can be with his championship rival.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Wheel to wheel with Hasse and Högfeldt back at the tail end of this train here. Still basically rubbing tours on the way down the back straight, but now they get themselves single file. We'll have to jump back towards the very front here, because here's the battle between the two championship contenders. Lohner looking to try and commit around the outside, even though he's on the older tyres, looking for the cutback underneath. That's a brilliant move there, but is it successful? He's going to lose a little bit of steam here on the way in towards turn number 7. Maybe looking for the inside through turn 8, certainly sizing up for the move, but it looks like Brzezinski has it all covered, and once those tyres come up to the operating window for Brzezinski, maybe he'll be able to pull away, but he has to deal with this relentless assault.
Oh, I mean, that Bentley has got so much pull out of the corners. It is absolutely tremendous. These two are your two championship rivals then. Brzezinski in front is second placed in the championship. He needs to score a minimum of 12 points more than Moritz Lerner in this race to basically keep the fight going to the final round of the championship. Lerner, he doesn't have to actually get ahead of Brzezinski right now. He can just sit behind and quite comfortably pick up the points and make sure he's champion.
All the food on the tyre tracks, if just in case Brzezinski wants to get past Siggy or anyone else a little bit further down the road, because Brzezinski, you know, he has the freshest tyres basically out of this entire pack here, and now those will be coming up to the operating window, so it'll start to really work in his favour. And Moritz Lerner just, you know, he doesn't need to do anything drastic here. I get the feeling from the body language of his car that he's wanting to make this 120% sure rather than like anything less than that, because right now I don't know if he fully understands what the point situation is, as Jacob Brzezinski having to go push very wide there through the hairpin, and says the flash the lights from Lerner. A little bit of taunting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's now the, okay, I would like you to move out of my way, please. Thank you very much. I will say, out of all that, going back a lap or two, I do feel a little bit for Högfeldt, because he kind of got freight trained, didn't he? Three places lost in the space of half a lap. It's yeah, it's never fun when you're in that situation. So Högfeldt, not ideal for him, but he is still in the top 10. That's crucial for him. He'll be looking forward to that, and of course, race number 3 of the evening, the only round of the championship where we have 3 races in an evening. He will be starting in 10th place for that final race.
Will do. Heading the way across the line now. We've got about just short of 9 minutes left to go here in this one. And, well, Brzezinski trying to extend the gap here over Lerner, not finding the most of success out of it. Of course, the Porsche sort of not even getting any penalties as far as balance performance is concerned coming into this one. So it's at its peak performance, shall we say, compared to these other GT3 machines. But you can see now the gap just extending a little.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the Bentley in this round does not get any balance performance adjustment either, so that's at its peak, as well as the BMW.
Yeah, so, the balance performance seems to be a little bit more even in this race here at Hockenheim compared to the races where we have seen it go a little bit wonky sometimes. Lerner will tell you about that at the Sachsenring, I believe it was. As it just seemed like that Porsche just couldn't get anything better than just outside the top 10 finish there in those races at times. But somehow he was still able to wheel it into a good position. Shows the quality of driver that he is. But we've still got a couple of little things to talk about before this race is done. Of course, we got we've kind of ignored it for a little bit, to be honest. As you still got that 3-car pack for the race lead here between Tim Yarshell, Mark Gassner, Isaac Price. Of course, Price, taking his uncharacteristic early stop here in this one compared to basically every other race that he's done so far in this season. He's looking to try and get himself a little bit higher on that podium. Hasn't been able to close in the time required here just yet. Although saying that, he did close in about 2/10 on that last lap, but we'll have to see if that is a blip or part of a larger trend in that one.
I've been keeping an eye on him, and he has actually been gaining just nicely, sort of methodical, sort of couple of tenths here and there each lap as Isaac. So he has been gaining on your race leaders, so he'll be looking for, well, he's in a podium position at the moment, is Isaac. He'll be wanting more. We all know that Isaac is a highly competitive driver. We said in that opening sprint race there goes Lerner on the inside of Brzezinski at the hairpin. It's not going to work out for him, but he saw the opportunity there, didn't he?
Certainly did, and now I get the feeling these moves were just that little bit too risky, though, a little bit unwarranted. Of course, I'm not the one behind the wheel of the car. I don't get the perspective inside of the cockpit of these machines. But Lerner, he can just sit there at the moment, and he'll be mathematically secure as far as the championship picture is concerned, unless he's expecting any further penalty or some such. But he hasn't done anything in this race to really warrant that. But yeah, we will just have to wait with bated breath, I suppose, here in this one, as Lerner continuing to remain within 0.2 seconds of the car ahead. And well, it's not just any old car ahead, it is second place in the championship. But coming up to 5 minutes to go, Paul.
They certainly are, and yeah, Lerner wants to do this the champions way, and he wants to beat the man on the track. And you know, as famously once said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, Moritz Lerner is the man in this battle for the championship, at least. At this moment in time, Brzezinski has got that edge just for the time being, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Lerner making a lunge once again down to this hairpin, because he has been really rapid in that slipstream. There he goes again.
Here's another attempt, and they got to be careful not to collect Siggy in that, as they both went late on the brakes. There was a bit of door banging coming through the middle of the corner, but the Bentley, as it has done so many times, pulls away on the exit of the corner. There wasn't a lot of room there for Lerner to pull back in line. Now, again, looking to the outside through turn 8, no way to try and get an overlap into there from that position. But Lerner certainly keeping up the pressure, keeping up the tempo into the final couple of laps of this one. And we'll see how that works out. Jack Keithley, Ben Spanky on the back of this train as well, so they could look that threatening at any point too.
Yeah, never write off anyone in this one, that's for sure, as they're coming through once again. And yeah, this has been a really enjoyable race so far. It's such a hard-fought race, and of course we've got another 40-minute race to come here in this one, so you won't want to go anywhere. It'll be just a little short, a little bit of a break between the two races. There goes Lerner. He's trying to go elsewhere because that Bentley has got so much grunt out the corner that getting it on the inside at the hairpin is half the job. It's then having the grunt out of it here, because that Bentley's just so good on the corner exit.
Yeah, it is so good. Now heading their way down in towards the hairpin now, and Lerner trying around the outside, gets shoved out a little bit through the middle, and again the Bentley pulls away, but Jack Keithley now within 0.2 of a second of Lerner. He'll look to try and pull off the move, maybe down in towards turn number 8 to show the nose only. Porsche's late on the brakes, that might be a mistake there from Lerner, but Keithley's not there to capitalise.
Oh, it's so good as this. The tension is almost palpable. You could really cut the tension with a knife with how much it is right here. But if I'm Lerner, I'm just more concerned about getting involved in an incident with Keithley right now than trying to move forward in any moves. He should, I mean, if he hasn't got an engineer talking to him right now, it'll just be a case of they'll just let him just drive. Just let him do his own thing, keep his concentration up, and then at the end of the race be told what the results mean for him. But I'd be tempted, if I had an engineer, I'd be expecting them to say, look, you're okay here. You're in a good position right now. Just keep it on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it is certainly easier said than done in a lot of cases, and sometimes drivers drive beyond their means and get in over their heads. Of course, drivers with the experience of these guys out there right now, certainly no strangers to that feeling and have ways of dealing with it, but this event still has a lot to offer. Remember, we have the final couple of minutes of this one, and then we have to do it all over again. We have another 40-minute endurance race after this one, so it's a lot of racing still to come. A very long evening here, but we've had a lot of fun. As having a look now at Jacob Brzezinski, trying to maintain the gap over Lerner here. Lerner going very late on the brakes into turn 8, as Brzezinski's now preoccupied with Kevin Siggy. If you can put Siggy between himself and Lerner, then that's at least something as far as the points gap is concerned. But right now, Lerner is still very comfortable in the points position. I just don't think he knows it.
Yeah, it's when you've got like a pitcher in baseball who's on a perfect game, you don't have anybody talk to him. Yeah, Yeah, nobody talks to that picture because he is in that zone right now, and I think that's exactly what's happening here. Moritz is in a zone right now. He's just fully focused on this race, and I mean, it is a fantastic drive. I mean, it's entertaining for us, that's for sure. It's giving us a bit of heart palpitations, and I can't imagine what it's like for the Door Esports team management watching this right now.
Yeah, it is but high heart rate stuff potentially for them here in this one. But there's the time expired, so that's all the confirmation that you need that this is the final lap of the first of the endurance races here today, and it might be a big old almighty challenge down in towards 10. Number 10, late on the brakes goes Lona, so late, all the way on the outside, but he gets the drive off. Has he got a track limits violation there, though? That's what you have to argue. The stewards might have to have a look at that if Lona stays ahead here in this situation. Now down in towards 10, number 8, Lona still on the inside of his championship rival here. He's securing points, but he wants to do it on track as they're fighting wheel to wheel, nose to tail, coming through the S's section. And now Lona's got himself a very good drive on the way down in towards 10, number 11. He'll try to find the inside. There's no overlap between the two of them there. And now into the Sachs curve for the final time. Another driver on the outside for Lona, using the camber to his advantage, but gets a bit of oversteer off the corner. Can't quite complete the move just yet. Look, it's the inside for the penultimate corner. There's a little bit of a love tap there between the two. Morris Lona's half a car length ahead. The Bentley's swinging around the outsides, though. They're absolutely level coming up across the start-finish line. It's an absolute drag race between the two of them. And Brzezinski does come out ahead of Moritz Lona, but Lona's still good in terms of points. By the way, Tim Yarshell did come across the line in terms of winning this race. He takes the first endurance race win here of the evening. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see him crossing the line because of the battle behind, but that was pretty intense.
My goodness, I mean, we almost forgot about the race leaders. They were involved in quite the battle, that's for sure, but wow, your two championship contenders putting it all on the line there. The cards were put down. It was time to see what they've got. My goodness, that was so entertaining to watch there. My goodness, Jacob Brzezinski is already commenting, saying that was a fight and a half in the drivers' chat. That is just sensational.
Yeah, that was great. Great between the two of them. Tim Yarshell wins, by the way. Mark Garstner second place, Isaac Price in third, getting himself a podium. Fantastic stuff as Kevin Siggy fourth, Brzezinski in fifth, Moritz Lona sixth. Should be good as far as championship is concerned. We'll confirm and we'll call it in the endurance race as far as any championship win situation for him. But further back, Ben Spanky 8th, Rietveld 9th, and Alexander Dornaden in P10 after the end of the first endurance race here today. We get ourselves another 40-minute endurance event in a couple of moments' time, but I think we do need to have a little bit of time just to calm down from that battle.
Yeah, that was just... I did it before and I'll do it again. Little tip of the hat, well done. That is just absolutely sensational what we saw between the two of them. Moritz, as you said, he wanted to do it on track right there, and he was putting it all on the line. Let's not forget, it's so easy to pick up a penalty if you just catch that car alongside you wrong. Oh, that was just sensational. I need to get a breath, but I think it's pending any stewards' decisions or anything like that. Brzezinski didn't get the 12 points that he needed there to keep this championship fight going to the final round.
Yeah, we think so as well, but we will make sure the stewards are confirmed everything, and if given the situation, we will call it in that second endurance race, which is why we refrained from doing so at the end of that first endurance event. But heading into the second endurance event now, the starting grid is just going to be the results of the sprint race. So all of a sudden, Lona's all the way back, all the way back outside the top 10. Not that it might not matter in this one, considering the points, but that's got to be a pretty frustrating one for Lona. But I think he'll realize now that things are looking a lot better than perhaps he thought they were.
I mean, what was that? 15th to 6th, wasn't it, in that race? So that was a tremendous display of driving and overtaking and strategy call, because you remember he did come out ahead of Jack Keithley in the whole strategy play, so things worked out for Moritz that way as well. So yeah, it was a tremendous drive from him, but some really good battles and really good fights out there. Tim Yarshall, we barely mentioned him. Just did what he had to do. He had his teammate along with him as well, Gastner. So the two of them will have worked together, who kept that lead. Isaac Price did put them under pressure towards the end there. We didn't see it on the pitch, unfortunately, because of that tremendous battle. But Isaac Price was getting there with them. So don't write out Isaac out of this race yet. He's still got an opportunity in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. We're waiting for the points to be totaled up by the race stewards here, just so that we get confirmation of the situation between Moritz Lohner and Jacob Brzezinski. But yeah, just overall, even before heading into this final race, I gotta say what a season it has been. Basically for everyone involved. Of course, the championship battle is not as close as it has been over the past couple of seasons. I mean, it came down to basically the last lap last season with Nestor Garcia and Lohner. But here, I think everyone should be pretty happy with the way they've handled themselves for the most part here in this one. Lohner's certainly going to be pretty happy, but the competition that we've seen has been incredibly fierce.
I mean, it's my first year commentating on this series, and I've thoroughly enjoyed working on this one alongside yourself, Connery. It really has been a really good championship. I mean, you look at it in qualifying. How often do you hear me saying that the top 20 are within 1 second of each other in qualifying, even around some of the longer tracks that we've been racing on? So it shows the level of competition that there is out there in this series, and everyone should be congratulated. But it's almost a bit end of term, isn't it now? With these drivers, it's almost as if to say, right, gloves are off. We've got one more race to go. You'll have those drivers, as I said, who have maybe not had the best of seasons, thinking, right, let's get a couple of really good results here, finish off the season on a high. It leaves you with a positive energy going into the winter. If you've been having a good season, especially if you're someone like Jacob Brzezinski, Bence Banki, I've been really impressed by Bence Banki throughout the season. It's the first time I've really got to commentate on him for a full championship, and he's been quite, he's putting some really impressive displays out there in that Bentley. So again, he'll be somebody who'll want to finish off on a high as well, because he's been having such a good season. I mean, don't forget, we've still got that battle for third place in the championship. I mean, pending any stewards' decisions from that race, as the live points stand at the moment, there's 11 points between Banki, Keithley and Hasser going into this final race for third place.
So we do have to recalibrate a little bit here, because right now with the live standings, with 50 points between Moritz Lohner and Jacob Brzezinski, that is it. Moritz Lohner has won the championship, mathematically not in doubt at this point, as long as all the post-race reviews go their way. So Moritz Lohner, 10,000 euros richer at this point, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a nice payday, all things considered. And of course you have.
I'd like that payday.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice payday. I might get my house deposit or something. I don't know. But
same here.
Yeah, that's a UK struggle. but for positions further behind, like you said, Brzezinski's not entirely secure for P2. Banki's not entirely secure for P3 either. There's a handful of points that could swing either way in those situations, and it's not for too small in terms of prize money either. It's if I just check on my rule book here, of course it's 10,000 euros that goes to position number 1, but 6,000 euros to position number 2. 3,500 to 3, 2,500 to 4, 2,000 to 5. So it's a big leap between 2 and 3, actually. So the situation between Brzezinski and Banki might be a little bit tense as a result.
I mean, you say it's not secure. I mean, it's 31 points though between Brzezinski and Banki. So Brzezinski just needs to get himself a solid result here in this final race to secure that second place. I mean, €6,000, that's nothing to be complaining about, that's for sure. It's that battle for third, because you've got €1,000 between third and fourth place, and then €500 between fourth and fifth. So we've got 3 drivers, as I said, that Banki, Keithley, and Hassa are all fighting over about €1,500 right there. So yeah, definitely. Definitely going to be good. Don't forget that there are other prizes as well, aren't there, Connery, in this one? Of course, the Pirelli pole position award as well has to be awarded out to the driver with the most pole positions, which, as far as the rule book says, it's a secret award. So we don't know what the prize is.
We don't know. We simply are completely in the dark with regards to who gets themselves the. What awards is given for the Pirelli Pole Award? So yeah, that's a little bit of an unknown. I hope it's pretty good, because maybe you get yourself like I don't know, it's Pirelli. So what do we get? Like an F1 tire or something? Like that's pretty. You probably sell that and get more prize money than the winner of the championship.
You obviously don't know how much used F1 tires go for on the market. So, no, it'd be if you got like a little pole position award like the F1 teams get, drivers get, that'd be all right. But anyway, enough talking. We've got a race to commentate on, haven't we?
Yep, we do. We do. So for the final time in the 2021 ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship season, the drivers will take themselves to the starting grid for the pace lap procedure here. It's been quite a season, shall we say, quite a season. Moritz Lohner mathematically has indeed won the championship, but we'll confirm it for the end of this endurance event. Of course, the grid is being set right now via or from the results from the sprint race. So that's a little bit of an interesting change for the second race of this doubleheader. So it does mean, we can pull up the standings in fact, Ben Spanky will be on pole position with Marko Pejic in P2. Florian Hasse will start in third with Jeffrey Rietveld in fourth. Jacob Brzezinski starts in fifth with Isaac Price in sixth. Kevin Siggy, P7 with Mark Garsner, P8. And then Christopher Hergfeld in P9. Shuffling between P9 and P10 at the moment, as Tim Yarshall's trading places with him there. Max Pfeiffer starts in 11th with Jonas Vanner in 12th. So that's your top 12 cars. And, well, we're just about to go racing for the final time.
This has certainly been a tremendous season. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself with this one, and thank you very much to Connery and all the team behind the scenes for inviting me on, and thank you very much for getting me involved, and also thank you very much to Traction GG and everyone who's been watching as well. We've really appreciated you all standing by with us and watching this tremendous action on here, and it's certainly going to be a thriller of a final race. Well, we hope it is anyway.
Yeah, that's what we're certainly hoping, and well, we've gotten ourselves a good set of circumstances here to try and figure out what the final order is at the end of the season. Of course, we know mathematically Lohner's on top. Who comes in those positions further back? That's the question that we'll be asking here in this one, and well, it's all still very much undecided in terms of the scrap for those positions, just, outside the top two of the championship. So you have, of course, Keithley, Hasse, Banki, even potentially Siggy, Price. Which order are those guys going to come across the line, and how will that affect the point standings, and therefore the prize distribution? Still a lot of things to be solved here for the final race of the season. So they'll stack up 2 by 2 for the final time as they head their way into the Sachs Curve. Another 40-minute endurance event here to cap off the 2021 ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship season. We've been powered by NBW Mobility Plus since the very start of the season, and for a couple of years at this point, so thank you very much for their support. But the final race of the season of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship for 2021 is about to get itself underway. Bence Barnke on pole position, Marco Pejic in second place, Jeffrey Rietveld behind as we go racing here at Hockenheim for the final time. On the way down in towards turn number 1, it was side by side for P2 between Pejic and Hasse. It got a little bit too close for comfort, and now they swarm their way down in towards turn number 2. There's been a bit of an incident behind there. Didn't quite see who that was. It might have been Michael Raschel, as there's 3 wide in towards turn 2 now. Brzezinski, Rietveld, Siggy all involved in that one as they'll try to negotiate their positions, and now the weaving starts down the back straight.
I said the gloves would be off for this final race, didn't I? And that's exactly what we're getting here as they head on down to the hairpin for the first time. It's a question of can they all get through cleanly here. They're going too wide. That's a bit of a late move by Rietveld. Clatters into them, and we've got cars around at the back. They've sorted themselves out. We've got Keithley 14th out of all of that as they head on through to the Mercedes section right now, but still 2 wide action here in this one. This is tremendous stuff here, and well, it's only going to get even more intense.
Yeah, I think so too. Top 2 have been able to break away somewhat here coming towards the final sector on this first lap, so Barnke and Pejic putting in a stellar first lap to be able to make that gap materialize back to Florian Hasse. Jacob Brzezinski on the back of Hasse on the way through the Sachs curve. You can see them absolutely nose to tail all the way through the order coming through there. There's even multiple instances of side-by-side further back through the field here as well. But out of the final corner to complete lap number 1, order is Barnke, Pejic, Hasse, Brzezinski, Rietveld, Price, Yarshel, Siggy, Gassner, Hugveld are the top 10 as those 2 go through turn 1. And it looks like it's going to be potentially a battle for P3 behind, depending on if these front 2 can work together and try to pull away.
If ever somebody started in a perfect position to try and hold on to 3rd place in the championship, it's Bence Barnke. Absolutely storming start, and it's a reward for his result in race 1 to start from pole position, and then he'll be hoping to control things up at the front there. But Pejic, we've seen how quick Pejic is in that Porsche. He's going for the race lead right now to the inside of the hairpin, but that Bentley, the grunt out the corner, absolutely great. And behind them, Hasse able to hold on ahead of Brzezinski.
Yep, so the early fight's continuing to develop here in this one as Brzezinski sizing up for a move into turn 8. Rietveld looking aggressive behind as well. He'll look the long way around at turn 8, but it allows Isaac Price to nip in underneath through the apex of the corner, but still is not able to do anything with it. Price is still following closely in that carbon fiber black Bentley there to correct a mistake from earlier on, as not going to have an opportunity down into the Sachs curve though, at least in this early stage of the race.
Certainly is, and this is just all really intense right now. This is the drivers basically having sprint race mentality at this part of the race. They're all in packs, they're all trying to sort themselves out and get one over the rest of the field. It's once you get to about 10 minutes, that's when things start settling down more. Look at this queue of cars from 3rd place all the way down pretty much to the back of the field here. So, you know, it's tremendous to see just this queue of cars all together out there on track right now.
It is, and we, well, I'll talk more about this later on, but, you know, it's not off, you know, this is the first time we've had a second endurance race at any of the venues so far this season, so it'll give us an opportunity to say, the drivers an opportunity to work out, okay, what worked well in the strategy last time, and let's see if I can do anything different in this particular race. There was a slight challenge there from Pejic on Barnke for the race leader. There was also a little bit of a look from Brzezinski on Hasse as well. So those were the 2 looks that time around down into the hairpin, but none of them resulting in a permanent change for position. But yeah, like I said, the drivers are now able to change their approach to this second endurance race based on what happened in the first endurance race, because the format's the exact same. You know, 40-minute race, scheduled stop. You know, now's the chance to try and learn from your mistakes, perhaps.
Well, look, not so much learn from your mistakes, because it won't be a mistake. It'll just very much be a case of, okay, that strategy didn't work out for us that time. But it is different scenarios for a lot of people, because of course that top 10 isn't inverted like it was for the first of the endurance races this evening. So you're going to be in a different position. You're going to be more based on pace in terms of position, especially for that top 10. So really, it's more about looking at your strategy again and saying, okay, that didn't work last time out, but I was in a different position. I was held up more at the start. Would I have had a bit of more clean air? It's like someone like Brzezinski. He's got clean air right now. He can set whatever pace he wants to. Whereas in that first endurance race that we saw just a few moments ago, he was starting in 10th place and was having to work his way through traffic. So it's different scenarios. For those of you outside the top 10, yeah, you can look at the strategies. There's Lerner. Well, Hugveld was going for a bit of a ride there on the entry to the hairpin then. Lerner was trying to get around Siggy, not able to do it this time.
It's a turn 8. There's been less absolute lunges into turn 8 in these races than I expected there would be, because there seems to be, at least on other series, on other platforms, that seems to be the theme with the absolute sentence in there. But everyone's been kind of a bit more, courteous about it, I guess. Conscientious. That's probably the better term to use. As that's basically one of the surefire ways to have an incident there is to just launch it down the inside of turn 8 and make contact. And of course, when you have live stewards, there's sort of instant justice with regards to that.
Somebody's been reading the Thesaurus at night, haven't they? But yeah, you don't want to put something in the hands of the stewards at the end of the day, because if you do something which gets looked at as an incident, more than often than not, it means that you've done something silly if you were the instigator of it, and you are probably going to get slapped with a little penalty. You don't want to take that risk. You'd rather leave it up to what you do on track. You would rather, as a driver, just be able to decide your own destiny yourself. As Lerner's tried to go around the outside of Siggy again in the background of that shot. Not successful once again. But Rietveld right now, he's got a difficult position for him, because he's got Brzezinski in front of him and he's got Isaac Price behind. And Price, all race so far, we've only been going 7 minutes, has been looking very, very racy. It looks like he wants to get by as quickly as possible.
Of course, with the Bentley, the steering wheel is on the correct side. That's very controversial to say, considering we're one of the only countries that drives on that side, apart from places like Australia and Japan, and South Africa, and things like that. But yeah, good to see Isaac Price continuing to do very well in these sorts of races. Of course, picked up a podium in the last endurance race, and the podium is not too far of a shout here for the second endurance race as well. Still a pretty long way to go in the grand scheme of things. Pit window is just about to open, if not has opened already.
You'll see it come up right about now, and there you go. So the pit window's now open for everyone, and Lerner's on pit road. Now, did he come down pit road too early there?
Yeah, I think it's based on when you come to a stop in your box. I think is the whole pit window opening thing. So I think you can enter pit lane before the window actually opens. I think it's just the fact that you have to start work on the car after the pit window's open. So it's not that the pit lane's closed for the first 10
well,
minutes.
Yeah, Shell's done it as well. Yeah, Shell's done it as well. So two of them thinking, right, let's go through. No. Oh, speeding Simya Shell. Oh, he'll have been thinking, yes, got the pit stop done, and then speeding on pit road penalty.
I don't think we've had a race go by so far where we haven't had a drive-through penalty for speeding in pit lane. I think it's happened in all the races that we've had so far. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably wrong, but that's what it feels like, at least, as far as that's concerned. So it's a little bit of a struggle to maintain the pit lane speeding, especially considering the pit limiter, and you would have thought, okay, just the guys should just use the pit limiter all the time. It's impossible to go speeding over the pit lane speed limit if you had the pit limiter on. But that's not necessarily the fastest way to go down pit lane. You can just go that little bit, maybe a kilometer an hour quicker at some places, and it might not detect that you've actually gone that little bit faster.
Well, not just that, but it's also on entry to pit road.
Yeah.
If you are not down to that speed, by the time you hit that line, you can get hit with a penalty. And likewise, if on the pit exit you just click your pit lane limiter button just a fraction too early, and you speed up, whilst you're still technically on pit road, then you can get the penalty there as well. So you will see some drivers, as you mentioned there, Connery, not use a pit lane speed limit button and be right on that threshold of potential speeding or not speeding on pit road. But it's so it can be just the silliest of things and just a lack of concentration. Before you know it, you're ending up speeding. And Tim Yarshell, of course, race winner in the previous race, and Lorenz Stump then another one with a pit lane speed limit penalty.
Yeah, so there we go. As that penalty comes through, and well, it's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it, when that happens, especially when it's broadcast to absolutely everyone that's watching. There's certainly no doubt in that penalty coming through. So yet another driver that's been affected by the wrath of the automatic detection on the pit lane. A bit unfortunate there, but we are now a quarter away, well, just over a quarter of the way through this race. We haven't, oh, there we go. I was going to say we haven't seen yet more people come down in on this lap, but it looks like Kevin Siggy has indeed taken the decision to come down in now rather than later. Ben Spanky, Pajic, Hasse, Keithley, you see all of those red icons next to their names. They still haven't come down on towards the pit lane just yet, so they're going to try and stretch it just maybe at least until the halfway point, maybe even a little bit earlier if they feel like they're wanting to try and cover off those drivers behind.
Yeah, it's as you say, you can use that previous race as a benchmark for when what your strategy works and what doesn't. And we did see those that stayed out that little bit longer did seem to then sort of feed back in around that top 5 position, whereas these two at the front, they've been at the front all the way through this race. They've got about a 2.5 second lead over Florian Hasse, so they've got a nice little gap there between second and third place. And they've got that benefit of, because they're out at the front to start with, they've always got that clear air. And they were able to do what Yarshell and Gassner did in the previous race, just pick and choose when they pit. They pitted around about the halfway point, didn't they, in the last race? So you imagine that these two are going to do something similar at least.
Yeah, I would certainly expect that they would kind of go for a similar sort of call to what they had in the previous event. So certainly wouldn't be surprising. Meanwhile, we got a couple of other drivers heading their way down in. There's Jonas Vanna coming in. We have Alejandro Arjona come down in as well, in the one of the only Corvettes, of course, one of 3 here in this race. And well, the other 2 are Daniel Berker and Joyce Blucher. The other most rare.
That was a drive-through.
Oh, was it? Oh yeah, it was a drive-through.
Well, either he's missed his pit stall and done a little bit of a silly and decided to just drive through, or he had to drive through penalty for some sort of infraction. I don't know, but
I'll check.
Well, we just got that on screen there. So sorry for you there.
Yeah, we got lap 1 hairpin. Alejandro Lopez Arjona got the penalty for the hairpin incident in lap 1 and got the drive-through penalty and 2
there you
strikes. Go. That's a pretty harsh one. 2 strikes.
Yeah.
Not that it matters at the end of the season, but
well, I mean, to be fair, the hairpin further back on lap 1, it did get a little bit chaotic, and it was it was like a good old slobber knocker back there, and you know, those drivers were doing. Oh, now so Ben's Banky did lose the position there, by the way, because Payich had moved up into the lead, and Banky thinking, right, I've lost the position. Let's get some fresh rubber.
Yeah, good call. Just you know, there's no point in trying to push the tyres any further, just trying to lock onto the back of the car past you, so you're just going to come down in, get fresh tyres, maybe hopefully you get yourself an undercut on Marco Payich at this point. And, well, it's Monkey continuing to fall down the order as a result of being in the pit lane. The first driver that's, well, on fresh tyres and is also, well, the driver that's ahead of everyone else on fresh tyres. There we go, that's Jacob Brzezinski. He's heading his way through the final couple of corners now. There is Ben Swanky continuing to wait to get his service done. Where does he come out in relation to Jacob Brzezinski? There is Brzezinski, and Banky has come out of the pit lane just ahead there, and by a margin that's safe enough down into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly where he needed to be right there, and you know, got himself. He's come from the front too. They had that nice bit of clear air. They were able to set their own pace and worry about their own race there. Now he's come out and pit again. Clear air in front of him. That's the crucial part for Ben Spanky right now. That clear air in front of him. He can just get his head down, focus forward, and go for the win. Isaac Price still behind Jeffrey Rietveld here in this battle that we've been sort of half watching on and off throughout this race, and Isaac, well, nothing that he does can get him past that the Dutchman of Rietveld.
Couldn't have put it any better. Isaac Price a little bit stuck. Yeah, it is indeed in at this point. So this will be interesting actually, because you know, the Payich and of course Banky were very, very close when Banky came down in. I have to wonder how close they're going to be once Payich now comes off the pit lane. Let's see if Banky is able to regain the effective race lead. Jack Keithley also in, same with Martin Barner, same with Daniel Burker as well. So a good group of cars coming down in to get their service done now. So there is Ben Spanky heading his way in towards turn number 1 there. And let's see if, where is Payich? Payich is just about ahead. Keithley gets a slowdown penalty for speeding in the pit lane though, but it's a battle for the effective race lead between Payich and Banky through turn 1. Payich maintaining the position, but Banky's close behind.
Now that Bentley we've been seeing all night has had such grunts out of the corners. It's got tremendous pull. The Porsche almost seems to run out of puff down the straights there. So that Bentley, the M Sport designed and built Bentley, out of the hairpin, Cumbria's finest is M Sport. Malcolm Wilson, he delighted to see his machines, although they're not making them anymore, I don't believe. But there's a side-by-side battle, and Payich able to hang on for the time being. That nimble Porsche through those turns, working out well for him.
Yeah, the Bentley does feel like a little bit of a tank when it comes through those slightly more technical sections, and the Porsche is just able to just negotiate those apexes a lot better. The car turns a lot more, does that Porsche, than compared to the Bentley. But as soon as you get through onto straights or high-speed corners, that Bentley is second to none. So it's a game of you know, pros and cons here between the two manufacturers when it comes to things like balance of performance. Of course, you can try and balance things out and give weight penalties or power penalties and some such, but it is just natural that different cars will be better in different places, and Payich certainly well aware of that, as he now has to try and pull enough of a gap that Banky doesn't get a good slipstream, and in addition to the power that the Bentley has.
Do you know what? I think he has actually got that little bit of a gap now as Payich, and is trying to pull away. Now that slipstream will help down through the Parabolica, and Banky, he'll be, I mean, for Vince Banky right now, all he cares about really is finishing ahead of Florian Hasser and Jack Keithley. Well, Jack Keithley getting that drive-through penalty has really hampered his hopes of getting 3rd place, or indeed 4th place now in the championship. Florian Hasse is in a prime position. Once he takes his pit stop, he was about 2.5 seconds behind Bunky and Pajic was Hasse before the pit stops. Here's Moritz Lerner. And what's he doing? Well, he's sliding his way through turn number 8.
Oh, it doesn't quite get it done on Mark Gassner either. So interesting fight between those two. It seems like Lerner is loving all the fighting that he's been having to do over the course of the entirety of this evening. It's great to see. David Nagy down on towards the pit lane now, so those drivers that have continued to remain out, soon they will have to take the decision to come down in. Of course, the pit window. Oh, another drive through. Also, what's it with all the drive through penalty for the annoying slowdown warnings this time for Alexander Dornaden? And he's up in, well, 3rd at the moment, but hasn't stopped.
So that is, if people don't know, basically slowdown penalties are where you have maybe cut across part of the course, got yourself an advantage. The simulator will give you a period of time to slow down, to basically give back that time that you gain, and also give you a little bit more as a bit of a penalty for you cutting the course. And if you ignore that, well, you've seen the outcome. You get a slow down, you get a drive-through penalty. And that's exactly what's happened here for Dornaden. And oh, back end out. That's not the ideal way through that corner.
Not at all, as we'll get the battle for P7. Jeffrey Rindfeld versus Brzezinski versus Price. We've been waiting for this one to come to life for the past couple of moments, and looks like they're going to decide to fight now, as Price taking the opportunistic move down the inside at turn 8, as Brzezinski's compromised on his line due to looking through to try and get through on Rietveld, continuing with the door-to-door moment on the way out of turn 10, now in towards turn 11, and that is the position lost there by Jacob Brzezinski. So good opportunistic move there from Price, just trying to follow through the tyre tracks of Rietveld, and he gets it done this time around. It's never a guarantee, that move, but it's worked.
It has worked, but it took a while to get it done, didn't it? It was getting a little bit bull and shoe ugly between the two of them as well, with a little bit of door-to-door contact, but they all got through unscathed, and that's good. Just need to get a bit of tea-cut on that paintwork, and they'll be fine. Although saying that, Isaacs doesn't have any paintwork on it because it's carbon, of course, as was pointed out by myself. But yeah, we're getting into the final portion of the race. We're into the final half of race to go here, and pretty much everything's sort of settled down, hasn't it, out there? We're just waiting for the final 4 pit stops to happen for Hasse, Rudinger, Lopez Verona, and also Dornaden. Once they have their pit stops, we'll then have that order and see how everything pans out. But Moritz Lerner, look at him putting the pressure on Gassner, almost bump drafting him down that straight.
Yeah, here we go then, as Lerner and Gassner, part 2 on the way through the hairpin, and well, Lerner basically pushing and flashing the lights there, getting well within a couple of, well, tens of centimeters from that rear bumper on the way into turn 8, trying to get that big wide swing through. The car unsettled. That Porsche really didn't like being swung in like that. It got a whole bunch of oversteer, but Lerner's able to hold on to it. Gassner compromised now on the run down in towards the arena section here. Turn 11. Now looking for the brakes in towards the Sachs curve. Lerner still attempting around the outside. Another big swing around here, using the camber to carry the speed, but still can't quite squeeze through on Mark Gassner. Through the S's section now of 13 and 14, and into the final couple of corners of 15 and 16. Lerner still behind.
Yeah, not able to get the move done there through Sud curve into Nord curve now, turn number 1, and yeah, this battle has been quite intense for the last few laps, and you can see how it's bringing Kevin Siggy, also Pfeiffer, Bergbelt as well into this, and Wisniewski, who, unfortunately, because he did have those issues in the sprint race, started at the back, not just in the last race, but also this race, but a good drive from him, up into 15th overall so far in this race, with those final pit stops yet to come.
Sprint race did end up pretty crucial, didn't it? But here's another attempt, part 3, Lerner versus Gassner on the way through the hairpin, and well, it's a little bit of an awkward attempt for Moritz Lohner to try and get by that time around, but now coming through that right-hand kink of turn 7 might open up the opportunity for turn 8. Here we go, once again between these two. They're giving us a good show. Maybe Lohner getting a little bit crowded out there. Swinging into turn 9 and 10 now, as Lohner has to go way, way wide on the outside of turn 10. And now you have Kevin Siggy behind, looking to try and pick up the position as well. In towards the Sachs curve they come. And, well, that was a very desperate attempt there from Moritz Lohner. I get the feeling with the championship sealed, possibly just having a little bit of fun with the fights.
Yeah, he's having a bit of fun, but I mean, he's trying the same move. That's what's getting me. Is he's trying that same move around the outside of the hairpin, and you know, it's just not working out for him so far. But yeah, he's lost that little bit of time now to Gassner. But really, with Moritz, he'll just regroup himself. Say, right, okay, I've tried those different things. I'm going to have to try something different.
Okay, here's something. You know how you mentioned that the Brzezinski and who was it? The Brzezinski and Banki battle for P2, right?
Yes.
It was looking pretty fun. Okay, if Banki wins this race, he will get 346 points. If Brzezinski actually, I'm just trying to calculate this in my head now. I might not have gotten it right. But we'll continue to try and work this one out. But I don't know. It might be a little bit closer than we first thought. I'll just throw a vague phrase out there just to cover my tracks.
Well, the points are that if you win the race, you get 40 points. I mean, really, if we go by where they are now in terms of, because of course Banki isn't winning at the moment in terms of those who have pitted, and in fact Page had pulled away from Banki and all of that. So I mean, if we go by that, Banki is what, in second place effectively, and Brzezinski is in third or fifth place overall effectively. You'd be looking at 34 points for second place and 24 points for fifth place. There was 31 points between the two of them coming into this final race, so I think Brzezinski right now is pretty safe at the moment.
Yeah, I think I confused myself a little bit looking at the figures, but yeah.
It's Florian Hasse and Banki that are the real big one, because there was only 9 points between those two coming into this final race. Now at the moment, Banki is in front of Hasse, so he is looking good for third place in the championship. Jack Keithlett's what could have been today, I think, is the story of his day today, because he's all the way down in 17th right now.
Yeah, as we're actually having, I think maybe these stewards are listening in because they're actively changing our live points graphic now, so maybe that will be able to reflect things just that little bit more accurately. But right now, the current situation is basically everyone's come down in for their scheduled stop, apart from Alejandro Lopez Arjona, who had to, of course, serve a drive-through penalty a little bit earlier on, so it's going to be their second trip down on towards the pit lane for their scheduled stop in a couple of moments' time. That would mean that Marko Pajic, there we go, actually, as he comes down in. So Pajic will be able to inherit the race lead here, and it will be a good couple of seconds between himself and Benz Banki. Of course, Banki is closing in by quite a bit, actually, over the last lap.
No, it's the timing, because of Lopez Iona coming in. It's just confused the timings there in that one. I think that was a bit of a glory run for Lopez Iona, I must say, to get a few laps in the race lead and say, hey, you know, I've led laps here in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Series, and why wouldn't you take that? Yes, it's in the pit stop cycle, but you know, say that you've led the race. You know, that's a little bit of you know, sort of a brag.
Yeah, it is. And forgive the confusion. We have been commentating for about 3.5 hours straight at this point, so I'm starting to go a little bit crazy. But here comes Moritz Lohner then. He's been fighting for what feels like 3.5 hours straight. trying to get past Mark Gassner here. Now sitting on the slipstream into turn 7. It hasn't really been a favoured overtaking opportunity here today. It is possible, and he does send it down the inside there as he overcommitted, though, as Gassner goes for the up and under, and he's able to retake the position. So a typical case of the overcommitment down the inside opens up the inside on the exit, and Gassner's back ahead. So Siggy now looking at this, thinking, okay, maybe I can get a couple of spots myself.
Yeah, why not? You know, get yourself involved in that. Get a few spots here and get a good result there. So yeah, Kevin Siggy in his Audi, he'll be thinking, okay, I've got an opportunity. There's a bunch of Audis around Moritz right here, right now. So he's got an Audi in front, 2 Audis behind, and a Mercedes bringing up the rear of this queue of cars. So good mix of cars out there. And again, as we've mentioned all the way through, not just this broadcast, but the whole series, you're seeing how the different cars cope different places, and you know, one car will be faster than others through, say, like the technical section. One will be faster down the long straights and that. So you're really getting to see that here. That Audi, of course, does have a little bit of a balance performance adjustment as well for this race. A 5 kilogram weight penalty and a 1% horsepower loss.
Yeah, so current situation in terms of points I will get to in a bit, because Gassner and Lohner are going wheel to wheel again through the hairpin. But as has been every single time so far, Lohner isn't able to get at all. So I have to wonder when that's going to change, because he's looking to the outside now into turn 8, taking that wider line through. Oh, Gassner got a whole bunch of oversteer going off the corner. Compromised his run through, but Lohner wasn't able to find a line to try and capitalize on that one. And into turn 11.
What happened to Siggy then? Because he's not behind Moritz Lohner anymore.
What did happen to Siggy?
That must have been down at the hairpin or something like that, because he's just dropped back. And Pfeiffer, in fact, Pfeiffer's making a move on Lohner now, and Lerner's dropping back here.
No.
I'm wondering if... Well, I don't know what's happening.
It's penalties. It's penalties. It's lap 8 tap-in, Lohner, Siggy. Siggy brakes too late. Lohner moves under braking. Gassner is affected. 3 seconds slow down for both.
Well, there you go.
That's why you've seen those shuffles.
Well, there we go. Nice and easy, and got themselves sorted out there. But it's been that Lohner moves out loses out a couple of positions. Does Siggy. But Pfeiffer and Hergfeldt won't be complaining about that, will they?
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, regarding... I don't know if these points are immediately up to date based off of what literally just happened. But right now,
No.
Banki, it isn't, no. But before that, Banki in 3rd place, Hasse in 4th, Isaac Price in 5th in the championship. That's the current order. Very close run thing between Price and Keithley for 5th and 6th.
That's a hell of a performance from Isaac Price, isn't it, to move up in the championship there. And Jack Keithley just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? He came into this round in, 3rd place with an outside shot of a championship. At the moment, as it stands, he's going to be coming out in 6th place. I mean, still €1,800. That's not a bad result in terms of your pocket. But I think he'd be rather finishing in 3rd place with €3,500.
Yeah, it's decent difference, those two sums, shall we say. 7 minutes left to go of the season, everyone. Thanks for sticking out with us. It's been a very long evening here with the sprint race, the GT4 race, then the double-header endurance races that we've had here in the GT3 Championship. So it's very much appreciated that you've been able to tag along for this one. It's been an absolutely incredible season, and it's an honour to be able to finish it off here at the Hockenheimring. Of course, current situation is, of course, that Moritz Lohner mathematically has won, indeed, the championship at this point. Well, mathematically won it before the second endurance race have even started, but we needed to wait for Stewart's confirmation, of course. But Lohner is about 6 minutes away from yet another ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship title.
it's just been a champion's drive this season. You think last season he won one race, didn't he? All season long. This season won 3. He's been pushed, but the problem is that each round we were seeing it was a different person each round who was the one doing the pushing, rather than being a consistent contender fighting for it. It's almost like Formula One, isn't it? Where it's been sort of Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen all together all the way through, those two pushing it out. It'd be kind of like if one week you had, Lewis Hamilton win, then the next week, it's Max Verstappen, and then it's Daniel Ricciardo. If you had a different winner each time, and the championship leader just getting those points, racking up those points. But it's not been a consistent one person fighting Moritz for the championship, and that's what's helped him. He's got those 3 wins in the bag. He's been getting some really, really good results. I mean, he pulled a result out the bag last time out when that car should not have finished in the top 10 at all. He did that, and it's those types of races that get you the big points, get you a championship.
Yep, they really are. And, Lona has had one of the more ideal seasons, shall we say. Last time he picked up the championship, of course, last year. That was more of a consistent finishing inside the top 5 sort of deal, and he didn't win a single race over the course of 2020. But the opposite is, he picked up a couple of race wins here in 2021, that's for sure, and it's just made the championship completely so much more one-sided in his favour, and it'll be a well-deserved championship win in about 4 minutes' time here in this one. Isaac Price and Jeffrey Ritfield, though, they've still got some unfinished business to do for P3.
Yeah, and Isaac will just want to cap this one off with a podium here, but it's going to be difficult. He's not been able to get past Ritfield all the way through this race, and that BMW, it's been the widest BMW that I've seen anywhere apart from going down the M62 motorway here in the north of England. It really is one that he's done a very good job of pedaling that car around this track, and to be in 3rd place, that's just a really, really good performance from Jeffrey.
Yep, it has been pretty crazy, and he's really gone from strength to strength over the course of this year. It's been great seeing his development, of course. His performances in the shootouts even before the season were pretty good as well. So definitely going to become more of a permanent fixture of this series, I would have thought, heading into future years. Looking back, though, we've got Smart Lona and Christopher Högfeld looking pretty close inside the final 3 minutes of this event. Lona just basically just looking to see how far up he can finish at this point. It's not worth anything, but it's just for the fun of it. Now, Lona, Högfeld, excuse me, going all the way to the inside to try and defend that one, forcing Lona to go super wide off the circuit. He'll get a bit of benefit from the momentum by doing that, carrying more speed by taking the wider line on the way in towards turn number 8. Now, was there a little bit of contact between the two of them there? Because Högfeld had a little bit of a twitch on the way into the braking zone. Högfeld, spins right in front of Moritz Lona, and Siggy will be very, very thankful for that because he's been able to pick up the position.
Yeah, I think there was just ever so slightest of touches. I don't think it was anything malicious or anything like that, and Lerner's had to back out of that. In fact, he's backing out of that now. Again, is that going to be a penalty? Is he trying to give that position back, perhaps, to try and mitigate any steward's decision? Because, of course, remember, you have to drive the best race that you can, as per the regulations. He has just allowed Rachel, his teammate, to go through, but Rachel's not fighting for any championship here.
Not for prize money either. Yeah, Rachel's not involved in prize money either, so I don't think that'll matter.
But it's still that rule, isn't it? You've got to drive your best race. It's one of those things where I never thought I'd see that rule actually enforced, but there we go. Sometimes these things have been around in rulebooks for a long time, and they only get used very rarely. But there we go. As we get to see Leon Rudiger and Nick Wisniewski have a little bit of a fight in the final moments of the season.
through that hairpin, and Wisniewski on the inside doesn't quite get a good drive off the corner, using the grunt of the Bentley to keep himself alongside, though, in through the right-hand kick, still 2 abreast. Into the braking zone of turn 8 now, and there's the door opening through the middle of the corner, and that is Leon Rudinger squeezing his way through up into a top 10 finish. 35 seconds to go. Looks like there is Marko Pejic. He'll come across the line. We haven't talked about him all that much, but race leader, potential race winner, comes across the line to start the final lap.
Once he got out to the front there in this race, he's just then pulled away. He made the move just before Brzezinski headed down onto pit road, but yeah, he's just been imperious up at the front there in this second feature race, this endurance race of the day. Brzezinski is still there ahead of Jeffrey Rietveld in second place. He's securing himself 3rd place in the championship with this result is bent. Jeffrey Rietveld, as we say, a good positive end to the championship to finish in 3rd place with Isaac Price right behind him. And Florian Hasser, he'll be finishing 4th in the championship and is currently 5th overall in this race. But yeah, it's been a really good display by Pejic. He had the pace in the sprint race, and now he's got the pace here in this final race.
It does seem to be the case here in this one. Of course, you see the clock at 00s. That's all the signal that you need to know that this is the final lap. Looks like not much is going to change as far as the podium positions are concerned here. Marko Pejic at the very front has run a very, very, very good second endurance race here today. Got himself ahead, got himself clean air. No pressure from behind as well. Pejic has run a fantastic race here today. He'll have the accolade of winning the final race of the season here in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. Pejic wins the final endurance race here at the Hockenheimring. But we do have to look back to the man of the moment, though. He won a championship in 2020 without winning a race. He's won way more than that here in this particular season. He'll be coming across the line, Moritz Lohner, as a 3-time champion of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. Moritz gets another title here at Hockenheim. Well deserved. Incredibly well deserved and well run. It was maybe a little bit harder than it needed to be here in the final round of the season. But it's the figures at the end on the scoreboards that tell the story at the end. Moritz Lohner, 10,000 euros richer, and he'll do the donuts that he so incredibly deserves.
Absolutely brilliant driving all season long. As I say, he was a driver who got results when they mattered, when it wasn't the favoured car. But we have to say, Pejic, what a drive at the front in this final race to win by almost 4 seconds over Brzezinski, with Jeffrey Rietveld rounding out the top 3. But, well, Moritz Lohner, it's not the position he would have wanted to have finished in this race. But 13th place is just him having a bit of fun in this final feature race.
There are the rest of the runners cycling through on your screen right now. Of course, a big shame for Tim Yasha, Lawrence Stump, Jonas Vanna, Lena Kripner, Peter Pilska, Nesta Garcia towards the very bottom of the order. They weren't able to finish this final race of the season, but that is it. That's us done in terms of the racing here, Paul. What a season it has been. We'll get to see a confirmation of the point standings here in just a couple of moments. We might even see Jeffrey Rietveld maybe gain himself a couple of positions after the end. Well, in the standings after the end there. We'll just have to wait and see how far he can launch himself up the order. But Paul, I don't know what else to say. It's been an incredible season, and of course, you know, ideally we would have had these as their own little individual live events, as has been planned for the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. It's the second year in a row we've had to do it all online, but just because we are all online, it doesn't mean the racing's any worse. It's still absolutely incredible.
I mean, you saw that second race of the night tonight was just simply sensational. The battle and the respect between Brzezinski and Lerner in that race. I mean, yeah, it was that intense. We didn't even show the winner across the line. It was just unbelievable, the battling that those two were doing. So it shows the level of respect, the level of driver ability out there to get cracking racing like that, to get intense battles out there on track. And Moritz, I mean, to become a 3-time champion of this series, it's not an easy thing to do. We saw him, as you say, not getting a race win and just plugging away, doing it the hard way last year. This year, however, he's had that bit more of a dominance to it, especially in the early going. He was really, really key early on, getting those early wins in the bag just set him up nicely for the rest of the championship where he could really push on. And where others faltered, he really came through.
Yeah, that's Moritz Lerner is showing there are multiple ways to win a championship here, both through consistency and, of course, the typical way of just getting as many wins and second and thirds as you can. But he's I wouldn't be too far to say he is the best driver on RaceRoom. Kind of full stop at this point. That isn't really too controversial of a statement to say. In particular, in these GT3 cars, maybe some other drivers can give him a close run in some of the other cars, but at least here in the GT3s that this championship uses, it seems like he's completely not entirely untouchable, but it's going to take quite a talent for someone to come back perhaps next year and try to challenge him on his title, because he's defended it successfully twice already.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a tremendous talent. I mean, you don't go racing GT4 cars, by accident as well. In the ADAC series that's run, so you don't do that by accident. You've got to be a talented person to be given a drive like that. So he's somebody who's multifaceted. He does real world racing as well as sim racing as well, and he's been proving that his performances, it's his level of consistency and the way that he can pull out results. As I say, last time out, the car shouldn't have been anywhere near a top 10 finish. Finished fifth in the feature race. He really can drag a result out of a car, whereas I think some others wouldn't maybe be able to do that to the same extent. They can outdrive the car, but not to the same extent that Moritz does.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's going to be incredibly happy about this entire championship. He had a few choice things to say after the whole sprint race controversy, shall we say? Maybe he didn't take it as well as I perhaps thought he would have, having a look at the chat afterwards. But in the end, it wasn't a huge factor. It could have been, if he got caught up in an incident in the mid pack in the endurance race 1. Who knows? We could be talking like, oh my God, Brzezinski somehow has managed to claw all these points back. At this point, so it was never a guarantee heading into this. Yes, it was incredibly more likely than not that he would take the championship at the end of the day, but it was never a guarantee. And there were a couple of moments, like the end of the sprint race, like the start of the of endurance race number 1, where in a way it was in doubt as well, because that's where you're just sort of rolling the dice and just hoping that you don't get hit by someone.
Yeah, I mean, those race starts of any type, be it rolling start or a standing start, they are just a case of you're not just working on your own wits, you're working on the wits of other people as well, and hoping that others don't make a mistake out there. And I think crucially that's where it sort of worked out for him. We did have a race earlier on, I can't remember exactly which track it was now, where he did get caught up on lap 1 with an incident. But again, worked his way through the field, got himself a top 10 finish, which is what a few of his championship competitors haven't been able to do out there. So I think what's helped him a little bit is the fact that he was in a different car, that he was in the Porsche. It gave him that difference compared to, because you look at the other championship contenders, Brzezinski, Keithley, even Bence Bunky as well, all Bentley drivers, so they were all sort of favoured in certain races and certain circumstances. He was different in that car, in that Porsche, and I think that's where it suited his driving style and it suited him in the races.
In fact, we can speak to him now. Moritz, how does 3-time champion sound?
It sounds really, really good. I think that's something that not a lot of people have achieved so far, and doing it in style, I would say, this season. Maybe not the very last round because of a few implications, but I take it, and I'm really happy about it. It's so really like the feeling of winning 3 times in a row is crazy to me, absolutely crazy.
And also, you get yourself 10,000 euros in your pocket as well. Is that going to go on anything in particular, or are you just saving it for a rainy day or something? I don't know.
Well, since real life racing takes off a lot of money, probably it goes there. But yeah, the 10,000 are only the side effect of it. I feel like winning in such a tight competition is always the best prize, the bragging rights, I would say. But obviously 10K are really good money that you can work with. But yeah, let's see.
Yeah, we will see. Just take me through your evening, really, because it was. I think it was a little bit uncharacteristic of you in a way that you were kind of involved in everything at some point. No matter where we were pointing the cameras, you were doing something. So, first of all, just tell me about that sprint race, how that went, how you viewed the final portions of that when you get yourself the penalty for quote unquote unsportsmanlike conduct at the end there, and it made your situation a little bit more complicated for the endurance race. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, first of all, like in qualifying, we as a dirt team did a really good job again. Like a lot of other drivers say, it's unsportsmanlike as well to draft each other in the qualifying, but hey, we are a team, so why not? And yeah, Benze was in front of me then, and Flo right behind me. And for me, it was always about helping my teammates out in the last round, because with only a little bit of points, they can make a huge jump in the championship, and that also gives them quite a lot of money if they achieve it. So for me, it was all about helping out my teammates. That's what I did. I cleared the way for Benze to go up front. Well, he did it himself in the first race, but I stuck to him to not anyone else can catch up to him, and that's what I did. And yeah, in the end, I saw Flo down in fourth, and I told myself like, yeah, I just let him go to P3, and I let him pass. I will lose the positions, but I'm pretty much safe in the championship. So helping out my teammates, yeah, apparently it's unsportsmanlike. I haven't heard that before. Well, but I knew that it could be a penalty because some people give out penalties for this. But I was confident that I can, like, even with a penalty, be up front in the second and third race as well. And I was confident that I would still win the championship. It might sound a little bit cocky, but I wanted to help my teammates, and it worked out beautiful.
Yeah, it did work out in the end. So the order that I'm seeing is, of course, you winning the championship, Brzezinski second, Spunky third, Hasse fourth, and Price in fifth. So that's the top five with regards to the point standings at the end there. Of course, pending any further review that the stewards will, of course, need to do here at the end of the second endurance race. But for you, Moritz, what's life going to be like now? Because of course, a lot of focus and a lot of preparation goes into these seasons. It's a season-long worth of effort to be able to be at the front every single week and to compete for those top positions. What's your next focus now?
Yeah, I feel like especially this championship, or like this year in general, was a little bit different than all the other years, because I was only focusing on this very one championship, because there wasn't anything else going around at the time. So it was, and also the championship was like monthly. Like there was a month of time between each race, which was maybe a little bit too much, but it was like you can't really do anything else in that time. So I was fully focusing on ADAC for the whole year. And I mean, it worked out, as we can see. For my next move, what I will do in the next few months, you guys will like it a lot. I'll go to iRacing again and do some championships there. Not sure if I'm allowed to tell already which championships, but the ones that are coming up in the next few weeks. I think you can maybe think of what's up there.
I can think of one,
And
but yeah.
yeah,
But
that's about it.
you're very brave mentioning another sim on a race room stream, but
Well,
but
to be honest, I know the guys, and they won't see it as bad because
you have a shield of
it's-
immunity a little bit.
yeah, I did a lot of race from championships already, so I'm allowed to do something else as well.
Yeah, of course. But I'll give you a chance. Is there anything you want to say before we move on here? Any words to the viewers or also your team or anything like that?
Yeah, well, to the viewers, thanks for the support. Like this year in general was huge support from everyone, whether it was real life racing or in the ADAC, ADAC championship. But yeah, huge thank you to the team, or yeah, because it's a newly founded team. We came together this year, the first time in a team together, so it was working out really well. Like we clicked from the very beginning, and I think as you can see in all the RaceRoom championships, we were leading every single RaceRoom championship with the dirt team, and we also won every opening round of the championship with the dirt team. And having a 1-3-4 finish in the ADAC GT Masters Championship, which is the top tier championship of RaceRoom, shows that we work so great together. And it's, for me, it's like really nice to see that it's working out. And yeah, I just love it there.
All right, it's great to see you so happy. Of course, you've just won a championship. Of course, you're going to be super happy. But it seems like positive vibes certainly going forward, and of course, heading into the end of 2021 into 2022. Hopefully, you're able to go on and maybe defend your championship next year, go on and do bigger and better things. But thank you very much for joining us, Moritz. It's much appreciated, and congratulations.
Thank you, guys. A pleasure that you commentated all this. It was really nice to watch the races back after in the night after I've done the races, and it was really great commentary. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you very much. We always enjoy it. Thank you. So that was Moritz Lohner then. That was your 3-time ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship winner. There aren't many series that get themselves 2-time winners, let alone 3-time winners, and Moritz has gone and done the triple, and it's back to back as well, which is even more impressive. So, again, what more is there to say that hasn't already been said?
I think we pretty much touched on it all, didn't we? Really, after the first endurance race of the evening, just done everything right. He's done everything right. It's been a real champions drive throughout the season. Okay, had a little bit of a blip here at the final round of the championship. But as we said at the start of the night, he only needs to just get some solid points, get a good finishes, and he'd be sailing that championship. So yeah, well-deserved championship for Moritz, and all the best to see what he does next.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, with that is all that we're going to have time for here on the English stream. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for supporting the series and the championship and our broadcasts over the course of this year for the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. Of course, powered by MBW Mobility Plus, our title sponsor for this season. Thank you very much for your support. And, well, I've been Connery Maddock. That's been Paul Smith. And, of course, we'll hopefully see you at some point for the 2022 season of the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship. Bye-bye.